Do it.
Oh, hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. This is going to be the fake start of the show. We are currently waiting on our partners, Lindsay and Rod. As you can tell, we are starting today a few people down. So, if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask before we get started with this month's episode of Copy That, happy to talk with any of you. And then we'll have like a hard reset and an official start of the show. Hey, um, and we will then edit out this bit. So this is going to be a private Q&A session. There you go. Interested to hear your perspective with all these tools coming out to produce long form, even 3,000 word SEO blog posts. Will there even be a demand for new content writers? Well, based on what we are going to talk about today, I think the answer to that is yes. And one of the things that you're going to need to keep in mind is that with that change, as well as new changes to the Google search algorithm, there is going to be more of an emphasis on content that is unique and feels uniquely human. So, what is the problem with all these SEO content generators? They don't. And so, that is going to be a thing that we definitely talk about today. Yes, we are indeed live. That is the thing that is happening right now. And
I've also, yeah. Go on. No, I was just concentrating on informing everyone and annoying thousands of people with not everyone. So
love that.
Callum's in the chat. Hey, Callum. Callum Jackson is my best friend in real life, by the way. Who?
Yes, one of the two Callums that you know.
One of the two Callums that I know, and he messaged me. We've been trying to call for a little while, but I've been very busy. And he said, "Can I call tonight?" And I was like, "I can't. I'm live streaming tonight." And he was like, "Oh, what are you live streaming?" So he's here. So I have to try and separate digital life with real life without being too weird, because it's going to be embarrassing otherwise. Hey, Callum, I love you.
I have to do that every stream. My mom watches all of these, so.
Oh, that's sweet. Mine doesn't. Mine's drinking. All right, let's go.
Konstantinos says, since my job is writing 16 newsletters because he is a baller, which is content, they put them under the lifts, which sounds weird to me. Do you have any other tips on how to never run out of ideas? And the answer to that is yes. One of the things, especially if you're writing newsletters, like ghost writing them for gurus, is, every person in this business has a certain number of themes, a certain number of like things that they are constantly harping on, something that sets them apart from everybody else out there in the market. Hello, Roderick.
Hello.
We are doing an impromptu Q&A while we wait for Lindsay. And then we'll just cut this out. So this is a private little sesh. So we might as well all get naked because this is going to be deleted and lost in the sands of time. So anyway, to finish up answering this question, or at least to give my 2 cents on it before kicking it over to you guys, look for that person's unique takes on like topical or timely manners. For example, if you're writing for a guru, what is their perspective on the recent bank failures? What is their perspective on like new BRICS currency? What is their perspective on, I don't know, some natural remedy or this or that ad? If you are looking in the news, if you're looking in your feed, like your actual email inbox that's full of other newsletters, you're going to see what other people are talking about. So one of the easiest ways to get content is just be like, okay, what is this person's take on this? And that person's response is going to be a few things. One, it's going to be timely, topical. It's going to be top of mind. So that's always going to get a boost in response. Secondly, it's also going to like allow them to sell against alternatives to their list, which makes them sound good by comparison. And 3, it allows you to keep harping on or reminding new people of these old themes. So that is what I would recommend. Does that help?
Yeah.
Better.
I'm answering for him. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this video mainly because, and Lindsay is joining us, I believe, which I'm very happy about. But I'm going to come straight out and say I think I probably know the least about content all of us, I think. But certainly I have done a lot of it, and I've done very basic strategy. And across industries, I find it's employed very differently, as we find a lot of strategy is, but particularly the nuance and the maturity between, like, not even the nuance, just the chasm of maturity between like financial and then just, schmuck business over here that's like has a brick and mortar thing going, thinking that content is important, versus someone who has like a massive content strategy is actually massive. And I've always been stuck on the fringe of the kind of latter, where I'm mainly doing it for businesses, or I've been paid as a content writer when I started out. So I'm actually looking forward to talking to, especially Lindsay, I know, who is, a genius at this kind of stuff, because she will, I'm sure, shed light on some strategies that just blow everything I've ever seen out of the water. So if you guys are interested in content watching this, I would definitely stick around to see what Lindsay says, because I think she's probably the queen of this.
She is literally our content queen. She was the editorial director for one of the biggest Agora affiliates ever. And so her main shtick was looking at all of the content and making sure that all the boats were rowing in the same direction. Lindsay, hello. You're fragmenting and you're like a Picasso.
It's like we're doing a terrible skit.
Oh my goodness. You've become a modernist painting.
Can you guys hear me at least?
We can hear you. Your video is how should
glitching.
I say? Yeah.
It almost gives another dimension to it, though. I kind of like it.
It's like the effect I wish we could have had when Luke got kidnapped by Daniel Thrussell that one time.
Yeah.
Which has now become a permanent fixture of Copy That. Oh, well.
There we go.
So it's still choppy.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe try plugging it or unplugging, plugging back in.
That's
Maybe it
what
was
we're
cable.
gonna do.
Lindsay,
Yeah.
can you say these words? I come to you with a message from the future.
Oh, man. Cool. We apologize.
And that was the stream. Thanks,
There we
everyone.
go. We're hyping her up, being like, Lindsay's coming. She knows the most about this and that.
Oh.
Oh God.
Jesus Christ. Oh,
yeah.
right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It's
There
not
we go.
the nice cam, but it'll do.
Well, at least it's working.
More than good enough.
Yep.
So before we get started, is there anything that you guys want to talk about or address, or anything anybody else in the chat would like answered before we start the official start of the show, as opposed to this, which has been the fake start of the show?
Thanks, guys, for the patience.
I just got here too, so.
Good.
I mean,
I've actually
since
been
the
here
beginning.
since yesterday.
Yeah, me and Sean are very, very pissed off.
Yeah.
But no, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, no, I think I'm good. I'm sure if we did open up for a full Q&A, there would be a lot of questions, as there always is.
Mhm.
So I think we should just continue and steam through and ignore our audience, as we tend to.
Great
As
tactic.
We do. I don't think we've ever actually answered anybody's question in any sort of depth. Anyway, so this is going to be the official start of the show. That clap was not just for you watching, but it was also for our lovely editor, Noah, though it's probably going to be me in this particular thing because I'm going to use the YouTube editor. So I'm going to get started. Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. Welcome to the one and only, but also perhaps one of many Copy That's, the only copywriting show featuring a copywriter by the name of Sean, and by the name of Alex, by the name of Rod, and by the name of Lindsay. We here today are going to be doing a very special episode of Copy That, because we're not going to be talking about copy. Or, I guess, depending upon other people's definitions of copy, we are going to be talking about a type of copy that is sometimes not called copy and sometimes is called copy. It is all very confusing. We are going to be talking about, wait for it, content. And then some of the sales copywriters and watching this are probably going like,
That's a dirty word. That's a very, very dirty word.
is a filthy
But-
word.
Sean, what is content?
Now that is an extraordinarily good question. What isn't content really?
This isn't.
Yeah. Oh, no,
No,
Rob.
this is not content.
Yeah, this is you know what? I'm gonna come out here and say something. I think this was one of the first questions I ever asked in my copywriting career. Which was what, I think I probably Googled like content writing versus copywriting. I think the day that I heard the term copywriting, I then Googled what's the difference between copywriting and content writing, or I went to like the subreddit or something like that, because I think there are a lot of blurred lines around what the differences are, if one is better than the other, if one earns more money than the other, if they are even different things. Who's best to elaborate? And is there even a right answer, or is it all just a world of semantics that we love so much?
I would say this. Rod, there's a lot of feedback coming through your mic.
Huh.
But I would say this, which is that copy, as we understand copy, is primarily designed to sell. The purpose of copy is to either have a direct or indirect connection between a person and a point of sale. The purpose and the main goal of copywriting is to write words that persuade people to buy things, whether now or sometime in the future. So the sometime in the future would, of course, be categorized as brand copy. That is delayed response copy as opposed to direct response copy. Content then is
Anything
all
else.
the other stuff. Yeah, literally any
Yeah,
other
literally
type of
anything
writing.
else.
Yeah.
Whether it's to educate, whether it's to just generally inform about something, to entertain. I mean, literally anything else that is not purely for selling purposes is what we would consider to be content, right?
Can I swoop in and give a completely contrarian view?
Let's
Oh
hear it.
yes, of course.
So this is coming from someone, and Rod may feel the same way as me. Rod and I think, have been in the marketing world for I don't know, 5 years, 4 years, like around that kind of era. And outside of the marketing world, I think when you haven't been so like in depth in copy and copywriting and exposed to, like those traditional direct response markets, the line is far more blurred as to what the definitions should actually be. Because I know that, like I alluded to, the fact that that was the first question I asked is because I just assumed that content writing was copywriting. And actually, if you asked the majority of people outside of the marketing world or outside of the traditional direct response world, they would basically all say the same thing. Most business owners do not believe there is a difference between content and copy, in my experience, which is really weird. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I think the definition that we have, that you guys just put forward, is far smarter and is more useful. But for everyone watching this, one thing you need to understand is dealing with people, and I can see Lindsay about to bite my head off, I think. But dealing with people in the wider world, you may feel that you may find that there is a bit of confusion and a bit of different levels of semantics over what content is and what copy is. So yeah, take everything you say with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. And here's where it gets really screwy is great content is essentially the same thing as copy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what do we mean by that? That is content that is serving a purpose within like an editorial universe. And we can talk about what that looks like a little bit more, but is like more on the side of fulfillment, maybe past the point of an initial call to action or an initial sale, whether it's like the thing that you receive after you've signed up already, you've already taken the call to action, you receive a piece of content. It looks like content. It is content, but oh my God, it's also doing the work of selling too. And so that's like after you've like existed in the universe that we were talking, that we've kind of drew this line in, after you've worked in there for a while, that rule kind of starts to reverse, where it, like, the line does become, again, very blurry, right?
The bell curve, right?
Yeah.
Like that famous one. It is, like, they're the same thing. They're different things. They're the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that. I think one thing we should say to everyone watching is that if you go and you actually search the definition of like copy that's used in the wider world, I'm pretty sure copy, it's just written text. Like that is all that copy actually means. And content, there is a similar definition. So yeah, like I think for the purpose of this video, we should just start by saying when we refer to copy, we're referring primarily to sales copy, i.e. it's trying to get someone to take an action of some kind. And when we talk about content, we talk about, as Sean and Lindsay said, everything else. I just want to make it really clear because I know that question confused me for a good 6-7 months when I started.
Absolutely. Yeah, same. It is a confusing question. And I think that's a very, very helpful definition for our purposes and for the majority of people who are listening to this. Stick by that definition. And that's not to say that, like, some pieces of copy will resemble more editorial. Like there's a word that's called advertorial. And that's actually a mix of an advertisement and editorial. And it serves a specific function in a funnel. And so I think if you just approach this all with, that clear definition that we talked about for defining copywriting versus content writing, you'll get by. And then as you kind of learn more of the marketing speak, you'll come to understand where these bits of information exist, at various parts of the reader or the prospect journey. And that also kind of comes to define what type of content it is too. But stick with a simple definition for now.
Rod, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. First, isn't my background noise better now?
Yeah, there's still some audio coming through, but it's better.
Okay. I'll work on that. I guess one thing I would add, and this involves taking a little bit of a step back from where we in the audience approaches this as like things we do to make money or things we create to make money. I think a useful definition for content writ large is media composed with the intention of like generating wide consumption. And so coming at it from that standpoint, I think a lot of things are content. This video is content. A blog post can be content. Good copy ends up becoming content because it is created in a way that allows for it to be consumed outside of just, driving a sale. And so I think for people starting out, one useful question to ask themselves as they are, approaching a job, whether it is for content or whether it's for copy, is who is supposed to be consuming this? Am I creating this to engage people? Is this like a fulfillment thing, just like a sort of token email that no one's really supposed to read? I think that those sort of distinctions or thinking about it that way can make that distinction a little bit easier to parse.
So I want to throw something out there, and this is going to, I think, maybe help us with this conversation, because I've been watching our viewer stats and I've been watching them trick down as y'all have been talking. And one of the things that I notice is that number is going down every time I hear a word like editorial. To the people watching, what is editorial? I hear a word like engagement. The fuck is engagement? Like, what do all of these mean? What are all of these goals? What are we trying to do when we put out a piece of content as opposed to a piece of copy?
That's a great question. I think that from a company perspective, the sale or the opt-in or whatever, when you're dealing with content, it's a little bit further out. So you're primarily using your content to establish some sort of relationship. That is the ultimate goal. And we see this in the world that like Sean and I primarily come from, which is financial copywriting, which is that like we use our e-letter, for example, purely as an engagement and relationship vehicle. And what does that mean? That means if you were to just constantly flood people's inboxes and just spam them all the time with advertisements and with pushes to sell something, they would just tune you out. They would learn to ignore you. You're basically training them to ignore you. Whereas if you pepper that with very useful, valuable information, editorial content that has, maybe stock recommendations in this case, just, a lesson to learn, something that is valuable, whether it's or entertaining. You're educating them about something, you're entertaining them by telling them stories. Over time, you are training them to form a relationship with you. They come to see you as somebody who's credible. They come to learn that you actually know what you're talking about and you make good tips and you have an amazing track record. And soon they come to trust you. And so that makes your sales message a lot more palatable down the line. And so I think that would be the first thing that I would say, is that content is aiming to form a relationship with your target audience and make that sale a lot easier down the road.
And I am going to go to the other side of the world for this of content and talk about when it's not worth doing content. And I'm going to, is that jumping ahead too quickly, Sean?
No, I'm literally looking at our show notes, and that is the next thing that we are supposed to talk about, which is one of the things that we've been bad at in this sort of nebulous gray area discussion of like, what is copy? What is content? The answer is yes. Perhaps the answer is fries, if you're a Ben Feingold fan. But one of the things that we failed to impress upon you folks watching is that you can make money writing content, like a lot of money. And in fact, it's probably going to be easier for you at the start of your career as a copywriter writing content. That is, writing captions for Instagram posts, writing Facebook posts that aren't necessarily designed to attach to an ad, writing, I don't know, YouTube scripts.
I mean, Sean, what's the most we've paid a content writer for a special report? I'm thinking of a really expensive, well-known copywriter who produced some reports for us.
Mm-hmm.
But also, do you remember like the high end of what we paid? Was it 3,000?
No, there was one series, and it was like a 2,000 word report. And we paid a certain well-known, very famous copywriter we've definitely talked about on stream. I believe we paid him about $4,000 for this 2,000 word report.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for 2 months. When I was with Agora Financial, I was writing a monthly column for a newsletter, 1,000 words a month, more or less, give or take. And I was getting paid $2,500 per column. So there is a lot of money to be made on the upper end of content writing.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we've paid people for social media posts. We've paid people for report writing. We've paid people to like write parts of newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, somebody watching is actually somebody that I recently began working with to help me with some of my editorial load. And so when we talk about editorial, what we're really talking about is fulfillment that is content that is designed to entice, delight, instruct, inform, etc. It is not explicitly designed to try to get a sale. It can be manipulated or yoked for that purpose, but it doesn't have to be. The same reason why when you watch this, you don't necessarily expect me to go, you should go to patreon.com/thecopythatshow and sign up for $20 to get all of our amazing masterclasses and content like that. No, that would be ridiculous if we did that during a stream, because you weren't expecting a pitch ever from us. But ultimately, what it comes down to is because there is that confusion, that lack of distinction between copy and content, a lot of business owners will hire you to write content without understanding that it's copy. They will hire you to write copy without understanding that it's content. And so having the ability to put on both hats and write for both purposes is only going to increase the amount of money that you can make, especially in these early and very crucial stages of your career.
100%. And I would also add to that, the more you understand about copywriting and marketing and how that works, the better content writer you will be, and vice versa. The more you understand about good content writing, the better copywriter you'll be. But on the other way around, understanding the context that your piece of content that you are writing, like how that is working for your business, is really, really important. If you get an assignment, say you go on Fiverr, Upwork, whatever, and you get a client who wants to hire you to write a column, for instance, you could go write, say it's real estate, for example, you could go write about market trends, blah, blah, blah. But you should be asking questions just naturally. If you've been following Copy That for a while, you should be asking questions of like, okay, where are you putting this out? Who is this going to? What at what point of the funnel or the sales process are they getting this piece of information? Because we've worked with content writers who kind of just like bang something out and they're like, here you go. And without understanding the context around the product and ultimately what the larger vehicles that you're writing for is trying to do, it just always is empty. And it, like Sean and I, we've had assignments come through and we're like, you can just tell that the person hasn't really done the work to understand what it is that we're trying to do at the greater picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if I said that clear enough. If anyone wants to jump in.
Very succinctly. I'll you be Warren Buffett and I'll be Charlie Munger. And I'll
let's do it.
Sum it up with like.
I see Rod nodding. He has stuff to say too.
I've been nodding for like the past 3 minutes because everything you've just said is like the fucking gospel. Like, yeah, the reason we call her the content queen is because like this is some real shit. And so if you have listened to nothing else in this show so far, go back 2 minutes and just re-listen to that bit because it's so incredibly valuable what you just said. In addition to being incredibly beneficial to the businesses you work with, for you to have to understand those distinctions and how different forms of copy versus content function for that business, it will make your life 1,000 times easier if you get into the practice of asking those questions, understanding what the text you're writing is actually going to be trying to do. Because if you can discern, hey, this is a situation in which this sounds more like a copy thing. You're trying to drive towards something. This isn't just to entertain people. It's to get them to do something. The conversation you then go back and have with your client is going to be much more streamlined, and your process for writing the copy itself is going to be much easier to kind of sift through because you're going to know I'm not just trying to entertain here. There's a point to all of this that is like to get them to go somewhere else. And so, ask those questions, think about those distinctions, and don't just bang something out as easy as it is, because that can be the difference between being someone who gets hired once for some content writing versus having your salary increase because it's so easy to work with you and you're actually giving them some unexpected benefits that they weren't expecting.
That is the I think this, like what we're talking about, is the difference between somebody just testing you out one time and being like, okay, thank you for that, see ya, versus somebody being like, wow, this person gets it. They're going above and beyond what I asked them for. And I'm going to continue hiring this person because they clearly are adding a lot of value to my business.
Just to, in a pithy way, succinctly say what I think you both are trying to say. If you get an assignment to write content, use your marketing brain and don't shit out a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like actually put in some effort and try to understand what the role of that is, because you have to understand businesses, and there's going to be exceptions. This is going to be the next thing that we talk about. Businesses are not just paying you to poop out words. They want those words to do something.
Yeah. And
if you don't understand what those words should be doing, you are doing a bad job. You are, and I would go so far as to say that you might be a bad person and you are going to die and rot in jail. Maybe not that extreme, but somewhere along the continuum leading up to that point. So really what it comes down to is when it comes to understanding content, And getting good at content, it's not just a function of being good at copywriting. It's also understanding that there's a marketing purpose here.
Mhm.
Every single piece of content and copy ever published by any business is serving a marketing function. Every single piece, every word in every piece serves a marketing function. And so if you do not understand the marketing functions that are available on the menu of life, you're floating like pepperoncinis in the vinegar of life, you are not doing your job. So that is something that I would like to impress. But that also takes us to, I think, the next conversation, which is to say that some businesses will pay for content. Perhaps they shouldn't. Have any of you, perhaps living in a place that rhymes with Wingland, do any of you happen to have any experience with that?
Yeah. Man. Right. Okay. I'm gonna try very hard not to get angry.
Please get angry.
All right. Sean, I don't like you. All right. No, I'm kidding.
I have
So-
that effect on people.
I seriously though, content. A lot of people, a lot of businesses, I should say, they have this. No, I'm going to rephrase that. In my experience, a lot of CEOs or directors feel like they should be investing in, and it's a word we have danced around. I don't think we've said it yet. SEO. They feel like they should invest in SEO because they've heard the term. It's plastered all over marketing agencies' websites. It is constantly talked about in articles. They will see 15 LinkedIn posts a day talking about SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. I prefer to pronounce it bullshit. But it's okay. Before I go into this rant, it does have some value, of course, as all things in life do. But genuinely, there seems to be this idea among businesses, particularly startups and kind of like medium size, floating around like the 10 mil range businesses. There seems to be this idea that the SEO and content is like the absolute key to just success. And I applaud the marketing agencies who have beset the world with this idea, because they did an amazing job at convincing everyone that it's really important. I have worked with two businesses that jump to mind. I won't name them. I won't name anyone in them. But I worked with two businesses who both wasted a lot of money trying to churn out content for the purposes of SEO. That brought in no results. No, it just didn't bring in anything. And when I talk about results here, I'm talking about sales. As all good marketing should, I'm talking about sales. If the prime function of your business isn't benefiting from the work you're doing, then why are you doing it? And this is the biggest issue I have with SEO and with content writing. In some businesses, it's phenomenal and is great. And if you have the right strategy, amazing. In some other businesses, I would be inclined to argue most businesses, it doesn't have the same value. It just does not. And here's why. Two things you need to remember here. I want to get X person or business or whatever to buy my product or use my service in some way. That's number one thing over here. I need to get their eyes on my business. Those are the two things business owners are thinking about. They're thinking, I need this thing to happen for my business to survive. That means I need people to see my business. But this thing over here just overtakes their mind. They think so much about, I need people to see my business in any way possible, that they don't even think about how they're going to get them to take action and buy the thing or use the service. So what that leads to is them forking out tens of thousands of dollars a month, I'm talking about here, on teams of content writers and content strategists and SEO software and overarching marketing directors who probably shouldn't be being paid as much as they are. Can you tell I'm salty? They focus on this side of it where the strategy devolves into, okay, let's get as many eyes on our website as possible. that leads into targeting. I'm not going to go into exactly how SEO works here, but it leads into targeting keywords, i.e., the main topic of a blog post, an article, a page on the internet. It leads to targeting those keywords that are just going to drive as much traffic as possible to your website, regardless of whether they are linked to the action you want them to take. There are a ton of examples of this, but one most recently in my life, and this is by looking at competitors of the industry I work in now. In the health tech space, there will be companies who target keywords that are to do with, I don't know, let's say giving up smoking, for example. Yet they are a cell editing company, and they're looking for big kind of research clients, not the average Joe who's going to be looking about stopping smoking. But because everyone who goes onto those articles just equates into numbers on a spreadsheet or numbers in Ahrefs or numbers in Google Search Console, it means the higher ups look at that and go, oh, wow, look, our website traffic has gone up 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, 40 times. That's amazing. But guess what? Sales haven't gone up at all. No more clients have come in, and there are no extra leads in the pipeline. So there we go. That is a good 3-4 minute rant on my big issue with it. And I could go into many crevices, but yeah, I'm going to stop there and let you guys chime in.
Well, we won't discuss your entry into any crevices at this particular juncture, but I will say that one of the things that we're talking around right now is a concept called vanity metrics.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So, just so you understand, when we talk about results, we're often talking about conversions. That is, how many people become leads, how many leads become customers, how much they pay, what their average order is, what their lifetime value is as a customer, things like that. Those are all what are called KPIs, or key performance indicators, or I've heard other variants of that too. But those numbers, more or less, give or take, tell you how an ad or a piece of content or anything is doing. And I'll give you an example. There was a blog post that we republished in a newsletter. And at the very bottom, there was a PS. By the way, this dude that normally works over in this place, he just put out a new offer for this thing. Click here to find more about it. And that was a link to a sales letter. So the purpose of that piece of content was not to sell. We just stuck a little CTA on at the end of it. And that went over to a sales page, and that sold $13,000. It was pretty good for just a regular old blog post. And so that is what a good piece of content can do. That's a key performance indicator. When it comes to vanity metrics, many social media managers, SEO folks, web design folks, they'll look at time spent on page. They'll look at bounce rate. They'll look at engagement. By engagement, I mean, do they click stuff? Are they liking? Are they retweeting? Things like that. That's all what I mean by engagement. And a lot of marketers that work in these niches are really, really focused on these vanity metrics because it makes them look good in the eyes of business owners that don't know any better. And so one of the difficulties that I've had as a business owner is finding social media managers, SEO writers, content writers that understand that distinction and also know how to overcome that distinction. Like, for example, if you ask a social media marketer, somebody who's making content for social media for a brand, and you ask them, hey, how many sales did this post generate? 99 out of 100 times, that social media marketer is going to be like, huh? What? And in fact, I've even brought this up in a conversation about social media marketing before and mentioned that was a gripe, a pain point that I have as a business owner. And a social media marketer was like, well, yeah, well, that's not the indicator. Those are not the numbers that we're trying to go for. And I said, but that's the point. That's the point that I'm making. That's why so many social media strategies fail. That's why so many SEO strategies fail. SEO is good for some things. And later on in the show, I promise you that I will show you an example of SEO at work that's actually doing good. But most people that are operating in the content marketing world, they've done a good job since the late 90s of really, really emphasizing to businesses that this is a thing that businesses need, even though it isn't always.
And I think it just takes time for SEO to work, and takes a lot of money to generate the amount of content that you need to produce. And most business owners, most people who are paying for SEO content writing, they just don't understand that. And so they're in a super competitive niche, and then they're like, we're going to hire an SEO, writer. And then they get like 2 months in, and it's like where are the results? And like, they're not seeing a big difference. And like, on one hand, it just, you haven't been doing it long enough. You have to do it at least 6 months minimum before maybe, things start working out. And then two, you got to be like the right type of business, right? Like, if you're a fencing company, like, do you really need to be producing a ton of content about fencing, like building new fences? I mean, so you got to be the right type of company. And then you also have to be in it for a really long time. And people just don't really understand, how it works. There's just like, we want to be on page 1 of Google, and, we want to be on page 1 of search results, and we don't want to pay for advertising, but we're willing to pay you to generate a ton of content. Anyway, so you just, you're missing a lot of that understanding for the most part, in my experience, which is unfortunate because like, we have a business. We have Sean and I own a tutoring business that has benefited from content that we put out, but it was a stroke of luck, man. Like, we happened to write about learning pods when the pandemic hit. And, we were kind of the first company in our city that was really talking about what learning pods actually are. And so we got on page 1 very quickly. We got a lot of traffic that we didn't have to pay for because it was just a pandemic hit. We had a tutoring company, and we were like, oh my God, we're going to shut down, and then somebody called us and they were like, hey, can you help me find a teacher and do this learning pod? And so, like, it was just right place, right time. But in any other circumstance, if we were like, let's hire an SEO writer, content writer, which we tried to do, and she was a great great content writer, but it was the same conversations. Like, how many clients did this lead to? And like, we just couldn't get answers ever. And there was never a technology that could give us answers. There was never, anything that could give us answers. So we spend a lot of money trying to generate content, but we're competing against national brands that are paying for advertising, that have cred with Google, out the glue, like, backlink, thousands of backlinks. Like, good luck. It's just going to take forever. So
yeah. And I'm gonna add. No, I know we're all having a turn. I'm gonna add one more thing, then I'm gonna shut up so we can move to some useful stuff on content. But just for all the marketers out there, all the freelancers, Evan is 100% right, and I found this time and time again. Like, ads or PPC ads or paid ads, like, is a dirty word for a lot of business owners because they just feel like, oh, we haven't got the money for that. But they're happy to pay an agency $400 a month to just write an article a week, which, as Lindsay said, like, one writer is not gonna, it's a drop in the ocean. Like, you need, like, and the business I spoke about earlier, the traffic did get 10x, like, it did. Obviously, it didn't lead to results, but they were spending tens of thousands of dollars, and they had like 8 writers and a full-time person leading all of them. And they did a great job at what they were trying to do, which was to get more traffic. But yeah, one writer isn't going to do that. But yeah, if you're a freelancer and you, I think next month we're going to talk about like marketing strategy and helping businesses and earning money. But that's a massive piece of advice. Like what Evan says there is, God, PPC kills so frequently with small businesses just because most small businesses are not doing paid ads or not doing them very well. And yeah, like Lindsay said, if you're a fencing company, You put up an article going 6 ways to make your fence look festive this summer. That's not going to do as well versus a PPC ad that's like free quote for fencing. Anyway, okay, I'm going to stop talking now.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll talk about this later, but SEO, the key thing to understand about SEO is that it's all about intent. Like, what is the intent of the person actually searching? And then can you put the right thing in front of that person's face to match with their intent? If they type in something like, oh, I don't know, how to remove a stain from my carpet, and you show them like, here are the 15 best types of carpet that are stain free. Well, that will do nothing, because that person is just like, why do I don't want to see this. I want to remove a stain from my carpet. And so understanding SEO helps you understand PPC. It also helps you rank better when it comes to PPC as well. And by rank better, I mean like you'll tend to appear at the top of search results more frequently. And if you can find a happy median between understanding just enough SEO and just enough about like paid marketing, you can be really dangerous as a marketer. And by really dangerous, I mean you can get paid a lot, like a lot. Because small businesses, they really can generate a lot of traffic and a lot of leads for $4 a day in terms of ad spend. It's not a lot. And on top of that, if you understand a little bit about SEO, Google ads are going to favor your posts way more, because Google loves it when you drive paid traffic to content. They love it. They just eat it up. Nom, 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 nom. That's Google. And so I don't want you to take this spiel at the start of this show as an indication that you should not learn SEO, because everybody who is worth their salt when it comes to content writing or marketing should know at least a little bit about SEO, how it works, how to do it. We'll talk more about how to do it later. Because that's going to be very helpful for you, whether you write content that is specifically for SEO or content that is for other stuff as well. So, and I'll give you a specific example of that. We republished a blog post on another business that Lindsay and I own, DIYwealth.com. And that blog was titled How to Become a Decamillionaire. And so without really anticipating it, without really expecting it, there was a very sudden surge in traffic searching for the word decamillionaire. That is a millionaire with a 10 or like above $10 million to their name. And so we happened to have a blog post that had been around for a while. It was not SEO. It was not optimized for search. It wasn't SEO'd, but it still ranked on Google really, really well, because it just happened to be in place with the right keywords in the right places for Google to be like, oh yeah. And since it wasn't written like a robot wrote it, a robot wrote it, people actually read it and stuck around on page. And Google was like, oh, people are actually enjoying reading this. They're engaging with the page. So it kept ranking higher and higher and higher. That was another stroke of luck when it came to SEO. So don't take us knocking SEO as us not having experience with it or not having success with it.
Well, and then Sean, so, being copywriting minded, what did we do then? We went in, we optimized that page, we added calls to action, we pushed people to a very strong sign up for this report, which we went and wrote, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way that these universes kind of cross and coincide, that you can, we had like Rizvan asked, should I just neglect SEO altogether and just kind of focus on regular copywriting? You shouldn't. You should, as Sean said, have an understanding. And I also like it because I think it's a really good way to get your foot in the door with businesses. And because a lot of uneducated businesses are looking for SEO, and you can get paid to do it easily if you know how to write. And part of what we want to do is like teach you what is good content writing, right? And We're preparing a big masterclass for that has become kind of a really huge just masterclass in content and copywriting in general.
I think we're making a course at this point. Like,
Yeah.
it's official. Like, we sat down to make a master class. We ended up filming 5 hours of stuff, and we're like, oh my god, we're not even halfway done with this.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
stay tuned for that. But if you would like to get our other master classes, that's available at patreon.com/thecopywriter show.
Yep. So yeah, I wouldn't say abandon it altogether. Definitely make sure you have a baseline understanding of it and how it works and when to use it and when not to, and use it to your advantage. If it helps you get in the door with a business, you know, write them a piece of content and make sure it's keyworded and ask questions about, you know, how is this existing? What's your intent? Who are you targeting? You know, and try to understand that to form a long-term relationship with that client. And then maybe convince them why they should not do SEO and why they need a, you know, some sort of offer, some sort of digital offer instead.
Which, if you know the copywriting side as well, you can make that for them, and of course get paid more.
Yep.
Do you guys have anything else that you would like to say on this particular topic, or shall we move on to some general tips about content before we start moving into the actual like major types of content, showing examples of all of it and giving general advice for people to excel in those particular genres?
I do have one thing I want to add. I think as a beginner, it's really easy to get bogged down in some of the conversations we're having here about the inefficacy or over focus on things like SEO.
Yeah.
However, if you're starting out and you have no experience or you're trying to get your foot in the door, it's completely fine to take a job where the client is asking for something that won't ultimately be useful to them. And it's not your job to force them to do something they don't want to do. So if you find yourself in a position where you're writing content for someone who probably needs copy and they don't want copy after you talk to them, you know, just shut up and take their money. There's nothing unethical about that. You know, eventually you'll level up a bit, you can get different clients, and you will eventually find people who will want to use their money wisely. And so then you can start implementing all the things you're learning from us and wherever else you learn things. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with just getting paid to do a job, even if that job is useless.
There is already a pandemic of bullshit jobs pervading the world right now. And so, you know, you might as well get yours while you can. So why don't we move from there into general tips and advice that we would give to people that want to learn how to write content and how to write content better? The first thing that I would recommend is a piece of advice that we've given to people before, and we've given it many times before, which is to sign up for email lists and read blogs. And of course, many email lists are attached to blogs. So they'll make a blog post and they'll send out a notification, hey, we have a new blog post via email. Read those. If you read those, you will get a pretty good sense of not only the kind of content that businesses are publishing, and you know, you'll eventually develop your own internal barometer of what you like and what you don't like and what you think works and what doesn't work. But also you'll start to understand the sort of nuanced interaction between like marketing and content. And you'll also understand like, when do these businesses, you know, forcefully sell or send something related to a sale? And when do they send something that's more just designed to be consumed and not necessarily for a sale? That is a piece of advice that I have for you when it comes to learning how to write better content. And you can certainly study it and break down content much in the same way that you would break down or annotate copy. Obviously, it's going to be lacking some things, like, for example, an offer or a CTA or what have you. But most content still abides by those simple principles, which is a good piece of content usually has one dominant idea that is trying to like prove or talk about. It usually has like one emotionally resonant thing that it's trying to do, either to, you know, spur greed or excite or, you know, make you feel bad about not calling your mom on the weekends. You know, content can do that. And it usually has one sort of like takeaway or, you know, a reason why this was put out into the world, something of value for you to walk away with. Usually in a piece of sales copy, that's a CTA. Hey, buy this thing so you can have the valuable thing. With content, you're actually giving away the valuable thing. You know, how to brush your teeth with your feet, a step-by-step guide, for example. What is some other general advice that you would give to people learning content, just starting out?
I think it's like
And
all writing where you just have to do a lot of it before you're going to be not terrible at it. And so a willingness to just write is going to take you a long way, because lots of these, or almost all of these gigs, especially when you start out, are going to be like paid by word. And so you're going to have to write a lot of content anyway to make it worth your time. And so just getting used to writing at volume, and then getting used to revising at volume as well.
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because when I saw that the topic of this stream was content, I was trying to kind of think about like, oh, what advice should I give? Almost every piece of advice that I can think of is almost identical to copywriting advice that we've given before. And that's where we come back to the blurred lines of the, so much of this is almost in perception of the person that's hiring you as well. You know, are they hiring you for what they think is going to be an actual sales page to sell someone on something, or are they hiring you because they feel like they haven't engaged with their audience for a while? And in both those cases, I would still be giving the same advice of read out loud, cut the fluff where you can, plan before you start, try and work out what you want to say and who you're saying it to. So yeah, I honestly feel like the best content writers are probably also good copywriters.
I definitely have noticed a cross-pollination there. I have some other bits of advice that I thought specifically for content writers. So if you guys don't have anything else, I can definitely fill in the blank.
Go ahead, Sean.
So out there are things called content mills. And these are businesses where, you know, like an agency, they will hire dozens and dozens and dozens of writers, and they will pay them an absolute pittance for way too much work and research and writing. Avoid those, because for understandable reasons, they don't really produce that much good work. And so one of the problems with content mills is that you're not going to have the time to skill up. And you're certainly not going to have the time to prospect and actually get content, like actual clients that can help you get out of the trap of working in a content mill. So yes, avoid that. Another thing to keep in mind is that some content is worth more and some content is worth less. And an important part about being a successful content and copywriter is understanding the difference between those and aligning yourself more on the money-making side. On the copywriting side of this, a sales page is going to be more valuable than an email. Always. That's just the logistics and the practicalities of business, because a business can make more money from a sales page than it can from a single email. So if you're getting paid less for your sales pages than for your emails, something is wrong. Something has gone very wrong. Same is true for content. If you are writing a special report or a white paper or some sort of like long form blog post with like extensive keyword research, and it's attached to a sale or, you know, explicitly part of the funnel, it's at that point where you're doing something that's going to be more valuable than, say, 20 tweets about how to clean your dog's teeth. You know, they're both content, technically, but one is worth more than the other. You can get paid for both, but you have to be, how should I say, judicious about the kind of thing that you do, the kind of job that you take. So be careful with that. Another final thought about advice that I would give to content writers specifically is that good copy and good content is often indistinguishable. And the only people that would really push back on that are the people that haven't really read much good copy. Good copy feels not like you're being sold. Good copy feels like you are getting something valuable, like you are being educated, like you are learning something. Good copy is evocative. Good copy is interesting. Good content should be the same way too. So those are all bits of advice that I would give to content writers looking to write better content.
I would definitely agree there that like that value is one of the biggest things when you're writing a piece of content. You have to find some way to deliver value. And what does that mean? It could be an educational lesson. It could be a stock tip. It could be, any number, book recommendation. There are a lot of ways to add value to somebody's life with the words that you've written on a page. One of the most useful tools that I learned for content writing specifically is a tool that we call the what and the why. And what this means is, first of all, you want to, before you start writing your article, piece of content, whatever it is, you need to have a super clear, crystal understanding of what it is that you want the reader to walk away from your piece with. What is the value? What is the insight? What's the valuable bit of information that you want them to leave with? Is it to buy this ETF? Is it to, whatever, make sure you call your mom or whatever. Like, so that is the what. And then the why is, why do you want them to take this recommendation? So this is really, or why do you want them to walk away with this? And usually, the financial world is what I'm accustomed to. It's easiest, but it could be, for the first time in history, this chart has inverted, or for the first time in the last 10 years or whatever, this, whatever chart has inverted and making this the cheapest you can buy the stock, the last 10 years. But there usually has to be some sort of compelling story for why now. Like, why now do you want the reader to walk away with this information? Otherwise, it's not timely. Like, it's not relevant in their life. It's just like, here's, just pooped out a piece of content that has nothing to do with your life and where you are now and is like maybe tangentially related to you. Like, it's just not meeting the reader where they are right now, right? So the best pieces of content has to have a really strong why. Why now? And then aside from that, once you have that clear, and by the way, if you do not have that clear to a point where you can sit down and explain to somebody, this is my what, this is my why, in a sentence, 2 sentences, you have not done enough research. You do not yet have an understanding of what it is that you want to write. And so what's going to happen is that you are going to sit down to write and you're just going to go blah, 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 and then this, and then this, and then this. And you're going to be like feeling around the piece. And you can tell in bad content writing when the reader doesn't have, or when the writer doesn't have an understanding of what it is they want to say. They're just using their words to kind of get to it. And then by the end, if I'm a reader and I just fast forward to the end, it's like, oh, okay, that is what, there's the summary. That's what the writer wants to say. You should have that understanding from the get-go when you're writing, in my opinion. And if you do not yet have that crystal clear, you've not done your research. So you got to kind of go back and, do an outline, whatever, get a good sense of what it is and why it is that you're writing. And then from there, the best content writing entertains, of course. Find a way to illustrate what it is that you want to say with a compelling story and start there.
That's really good advice. What I would add to that is, if you are just starting out, first understand that the what and the why is like, right? In order to do that practice, you need to both know how to write a given piece of content, but also you need to have area knowledge of whatever that space is so that you can describe why it is that they need to act now, why that information is salient. If you are a beginner, if you've never written anything like this before, it's going to be really hard to approach a financial newsletter, for example, and be like, oh yeah, let me tell you about why this specific ETF is like super timely, why you should buy it. Like, you're not going to know that. I don't know that. So one thing that can help with that is to start with things you do know about. 100% absolutely true story. My first content writing job, or my first actual freelance copy job, was I went on Upwork, saw a post for a content writer talking about a video game I happened to play. And so I contacted them, was like, hey, I know a whole bunch about this thing. Told them about something about the game, and they're like, oh yeah, you sound really knowledgeable, and they hired me. And so I would write blog content. It would take me 20 minutes to write. I get paid $50, and that was like really great. But over the course of doing that, I learned how to write better content so that when I approached my next job, I was like, hey, here's some writing samples. And even though they had nothing to do with with that area, they were still compelling samples because they were written really well. Because since I didn't have to focus on that, on like the actual area knowledge, I could just focus on the writing. And so as you are skilling up, you can give yourself a little bit more space and bandwidth to focus on skilling up by starting in an area that has to do with something you already know. So consider that.
Yeah. I think it's time to look at some content as well. I want to show the people what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, before we do, does this stream count as content marketing for the Copy That show? And I would have to say, no, this certainly is not. It is not marketing for youtube.com/copythat, and is certainly not marketing for patreon.com/the Copy That show. We definitely are just putting this out with no intent to hopefully attract people to our breadth of knowledge and our intelligence and our perspicacity and our insights. We obviously do not want people to go to patreon.com/the Copy That show and see the over 1.5 dozen masterclasses that we put out, or the hours and hours and hours of streams and Q&As and other bonus materials. We definitely don't want people to do that. Do not misconstrue this stream right here as content marketing. That would be ridiculous. But that being said, why don't we start, I don't know, at the beginning? And when we reach the end, we shall stop. Let's start with a piece of content, a type of content that everybody understands, which is the blog. Everybody and their mother knows what a blog is. So, classic blog. We got this. No, wrong one. No.
Hey, no, I like this. Let's keep it. Hey guys.
It's this one. Oh, wonderful. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but this is a blog called Wait But Why. It is one of the most read blogs on the internet. Tim Urban himself has published blogs for the better part of 10 years. He just published a book. And Wait But Why it attracts a lot of traffic. And as you can see, there's this, which is content. Then there's other stuff to do too, like, putting your email address and, following, doing the Patreon thing. And, I don't know who would dare, advertise their Patreon ever for anything. That's ridiculous. But as you can see, it's just content. It's finally the late 2020s. And so what is the what? This is a person who's saying, oh, here's an interesting insight about our place in history. So, and this is all the why that's important. And then here's the insight. We are equidistant from World War II, and World War II was equidistant from the Civil War. We are as far from World War II as World War II was from the Civil War. How crazy is that? And then there's also, crazy enough, about 21 years between World War I and World War II, just as there were about 21 years between 9/11 and now. Then there were, the Soviet Union breakup was right smack in the middle of the JFK assassination and 2020. And interestingly enough, if we divide the Super Bowls, we see that 1993 was right smack dab in the middle as well. And so all of this was designed to make you think about time in a different way. How Forrest Gump, The Lion King, and Jurassic Park were all released in October of 1994, which is exactly the same amount of time between the moon landing and that, and now, and when these movies were released. Crazy, right? It was all crazy. So all of this is designed to make you think about time in a slightly different way. There's not really a sale here. There's a push to an email list. There's a recommendation that you read the next thing. But all told, this is not going for a hard push. This is a blog. This looks like the scribblings of a paranoid schizophrenic. Yes, that is not entirely wrong, but yeah. So
That's why Sean likes it.
oh, that's exactly why I like it. Anyway, but that's just it's a fun thing. It's a fun, valuable insight that makes you think about stuff in a slightly different way. Cool. So why don't we switch over to a blog or a hub of content that is more in line with the kind of writing that you can get paid to do, which is this, Patient. Alex, tell me a little bit more about Patient.
Okay. So Patient. So this is part of the industry that I work in at the moment. This is health tech in the UK. And
Really quick, I want to answer a question.
yes.
What is the audience for this blog? Wait, but why? The audience for this blog is nerds who like learning stuff. What is the purpose of this blog? To educate, inform, and delight. The sales stuff came after the fact. But the initial purpose of this blog was just this nerd being like, oh, here's a bunch of cool stuff. And then he would just make it for shits and giggles. And that ended up being one of the most read blogs on the interwebs. There you go. Wait, but why? And now he has a book out. So he's making money from the book. So fans of the blog will probably buy the book. I already have. So there you go. Now, patient.com. I apologize for interrupting you, Alex.
No, not at all. So patient.info. Now this is these guys are technically a competitor of my company. But they're a much bigger company in that there's a few wings of it. Now, quick context. The bit that we compete against is a patient app and platform and tech, or SaaS, I should say, for pharmacies. This company has a lot of different things happening, and we beat them on our level because they don't just concentrate on this. But it led me to look at more of the company and what kind of stuff they do. Obviously, they have a focus on health. Now, this is patient.info, which is effectively their blog website. They have like a whole website dedicated just to releasing content. Let's just have a look at this. What can we see? The future of COVID-19 vaccinations is adenomyosis. I don't know what that is. The cause of your heavy, painful periods. 9 home remedies for tonsillitis. Okay. Now, individually, those 3 things are actually extremely different. They're all to do with health, of course. But do you think that the kind of person who's searching for things about period pains is also searching for stuff about tonsillitis and COVID-19 vaccinations? They could be, I guess. But most likely, no. These are written for different people. However, the purpose of this website as a whole is multi-level. Now, blogs, as Sean just alluded to, can monetize themselves. One of the ways to monetize a blog or to monetize content is to eventually link that content to a direct product. In that case, it was a book. But there are also cases where it's a course. There are cases where it's a e-commerce product. There are cases where it's a service. There are also cases where it's affiliate marketing, which is very, very, very common strategy for businesses. So they will have a blog, they will drive traffic to the blog, i.e., someone who is having painful periods, they may land on that blog post, and then there may be a link to a product in that blog post, which is how to relieve pain. So whenever someone clicks on that link, buys the product, then they get a commission. I'm not sure if that's the case of this or not. Another thing that you can do to monetize blogs is ads. You can notice, and Sean is hovering over them at the moment, display ads, banner ads, things on the side of pages that you can click. Guess what? When you click that, this website gets paid a bit of money because they have allowed an ad network to place an ad there for your viewing pleasure. Ads at the bottom as well. They are more framed as this is an interesting article you can read, but don't be fooled. They're ads. I believe South Park has a whole arc about sponsored content, which it riffs on this whole idea. But yes, so that's another way that they can monetize is just by getting paid by advertisers to place on there. They can also link to other wings of their business, which is what patient.info does. So anything that's relevant to the other parts of the company, they will write a blog about it and link it over there. Why have I drawn attention to this specifically? If you guys go and visit this website, just look at the sheer volume of content that they are producing. Like, it's tons. There's so many articles every day. Why? Is there one single strategy to all of this? No, there's like a ton of stuff going on here. And I can tell you that in some ways that's great. And in some ways that's really bad. One of the reasons this company is not doing as well as our company is because they have put a lot of money and effort into this kind of advertising for their SaaS. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And it's because they're driving traffic towards these kinds of articles about heavy, painful periods. But the people that we need to target are people who need repeat prescriptions. Yeah, sure. Maybe if you have a heavy, painful period, you may have a prescription for it. But the likelihood is you're just searching something because it's relevant to you right now. You're not going to care about downloading an app or using a website to connect with a pharmacy. So yes, it can be a blessing and you can monetize blogs, but it can also be a curse when you fall back on it and you rely on it so much. But I hope this website highlights just how many kinds of blogs you can publish, the different ways you can monetize them, and the good and the bad of it. What may be great for affiliate marketing may be terrible for advertising a SaaS platform through content. A million things to be said, but that is an overview of patient.info.
Sean, have you been shopping for women's clothing lately?
I have. Here, let's click on the ad and see where this takes us. Oh, look at this. Landing page for
your next date
clothing.
outfit.
Hey, I can get a discount. Hooray.
Discount, I'll take it to a wall.
No. In all likelihood, I've actually been searching for information to help treat my heavy, painful periods. That's just a personal problem. I don't want to put that out there in the world. I want to show you guys something because this is a good example of SEO content marketing at work, as opposed to this, which is not SEO'd at all. Like at all. Like nobody is going to find this unless they look for wait but why on Google. The individual posts are not SEO'd at all. But this is looking like it's optimized for search. How can I tell? Well, somebody is going to have the question of adenomyosis. And maybe their doctor heard it, maybe they heard of it, maybe their friend said that they had it and they want to check to see if they have it. So they're going to search for, I wonder what that is. What is adenomyosis? And so we can go to Google and we can see where this is ranking for what is adenomyosis. But really, they're trying to capture intent because they want to understand or try to speak to the people that are having heavy, painful periods that might also have adenomyosis. Now, here's an SEO practice that, how should I say? It's great for ranking on Google. It's awful if you're writing for human people with human brains. Look at this. Is adenomyosis the cause of your heavy, painful periods? You're going to get search traffic that is looking for this and that is looking for this. Great. We can also tell that at a code level, this is working well, because if we go to right click and inspect, look at that. H1 right there. So Google, despite what people think about ChatGPT and AI and stuff like that, these things don't actually understand stuff. They don't understand how logic and how words and how ideas are structured hierarchically. To help computers with that, they have designed these things called H tags. H1, the most important headline. Oh, what's this? What is adenomyosis? H2. And so if you want to write articles that get a little bit of SEO juice, just look for related keywords. And I can show you guys how to do that. Like seriously, go to trends.google.com. Search for, and since we're talking about adenomyosis, you can see the interest over time. Oh, there was a period of time where adenomyosis was very heavily searched. But if you scroll down, you can look for related topics, related queries, and you can search for like all of this different stuff. Top, endometriosis. So if we go back to that page and search for the endometrium, yeah, look, 15 instances of endometriosis. So this is going to help connect to those searches that are already very relevant as well. So if you actually like look through and right click and inspect the element, you can see H2, and anything that would go logically like in a structure below that, that would be H3 and then H4, etc. And this is all, I would guess, a P1. Yep, P right there. And so all of that is designed not for humans. It is designed to help make the robots' lives easier. Because a computer does not naturally understand what things are for, how things function, what words connect with other ideas, etc. And so the H1, H2, H3 thing is just designed to do that. Now, to help with the robots as well, look at this. Adenomyosis, heavy painful periods. Look at this. For some reason, though, extremely painful, heavy periods. It uses, like, if you were in a literature class, your teacher would probably scold you, like, why would you repeat stuff? No. In copy and SEO, you want to repeat words verbatim exactly, because those are the keywords that you're trying to target. You probably, person watching, have in your head, oh, I can't say the same things over and over. You can and you should, because that's what people are searching for. And so if that's what you're targeting, that's what you search for.
And again, reminder to everyone, we are examining this piece of content, which has more marketing intent than the previous one. And what Sean is highlighting is kind of the high level understanding of how do you spot what this marketing intent is within a piece of content.
Yeah. If you listen, if you see this kind of stuff, repetition of words, for example, that's very different from, like, for example, a piece like this. Will the banking turmoil spread throughout the entire sector? Opening, contagion. The very word strikes fear in people's hearts today. I don't blame them. Earlier this month, 3 U.S. banks collapsed. You can tell from the first sentence that the goal of this piece of content is radically different from this piece of content. Now, I can also tell you from personal experience and knowledge that this piece of content is going to sell more, is going to lead to higher sales than this piece of content. The reason why is because of what Alex was talking about, which is people are going to search for adenomyosis, or what do I do about my heavy, painful periods? I find myself searching for that every day. And they're going to land on this page, but then what do they do? Where do they go? What's the fucking point? If a person wrote this, they'll be, oh, you're at the top rank for adenomyosis. Good job. But also, like, where can I get something? Where can I buy something that could actually help me with this? What can I do?
Vanity.
I beg your pardon?
Vanity metrics, like you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
It just ends. It just ends.
It
For
just
somebody
ends.
who stuck around here and read it all, there's nothing to do at the end. For the people in between, you're inviting them to click off on other companies so you can get a little your AdSense pennies, but for the most part, like, there's nothing to do.
Yep. You can join their email.
I feel like it's just such a fundamental misunderstanding too of the user journey there, because if you just think about it from, like, okay, I'm experiencing something weird happening on my body, I'm experiencing really heavy, painful periods, I'm uncomfortable. If I read an article that's done well, that's telling me exactly what's going on, the first thing I'm going to do is close the tab and call my doctor or call 911. There is, like, if you're trying to offer, like, information about this, like, you have to understand that the information you're providing is necessarily going to drive away from, like, virtually any revenue generating activity that your company could possibly offer. So why would you even write this article?
I mean,
So Alex, this company should be targeting people who want to sign up for long-term prescriptions, right?
This company does a lot of different things, but a primary thing that they do is both that and people who need to contact doctors. But they're not targeting that on this page at all.
Yeah, I mean, this is an easy quiz sign up. This is an easy quiz funnel. Like, tell us more about your heavy, painful periods and what you're experiencing. Are you experiencing hot flashes? Are you experiencing this? Check the boxes of things you are experiencing. Okay, like, yes, adenomyosis could be, there's a good chance adenomyosis could be the cause of your heavy, painful periods, like get in touch with a doctor by you or whatever, or, ask them about this prescription or whatever. Like, there's an easy call to action there targeting that intent directly just based on like a quiz, for example.
Yeah, and it's a case in point is one of my company's best performing articles is something like what's the difference between ibuprofen and paracetamol, and it ranks really high. I'm pretty sure it's the top one for that, but it's and it gets good, very, very good traffic, but like no one downloads from it, like no one signs up from it, maybe like 2 a week. But it's because guess what? People are just searching. Like they could be having a debate with their friends. They could be looking at a packet of medicine that they already have, and they're like, "What is the difference?" Or like, "Can I take this?" And they'll search it, and then, "Oh, cool, this article helped. Great, X." And that's just think about how you use the internet. You person watching this, how do you use the internet? You search what you're thinking, and then you exit as fast as you fucking can because you want to get back to watching those guys copy that on YouTube. Yeah, and I think that there's always tertiary goals. There's always other things going on. I know that a lot of big companies, they do just have budgets to throw at marketing because they have that brand reputation to keep, because they need investors to see that they're dominating on X keywords, because they need to put in their report at the end that we got a higher proportion of market share for these terms than anyone else. So I understand that. But that's when you have fuck you money to throw at marketing budgets. That's not when you are scraping by and like are a plumbing firm, or if you're trying to scale up your business, or if you're looking for your next raise. Like that's where you need to be very, very smart with the budget that you have and put it on things that actually bring a return in.
Can you imagine, like, you work for a plumbing company, you're a marketer for a plumber, and the owner of the company says, "You know what I think we should do? We should do SEO content." And like your first 20 assignments or articles, like, 17, the 17 drain snakes ranked.
You joke, but I guarantee.
No, I know. I've seen it happen a lot. And so, yeah, it's no bueno. I would say, listen, we have a question, which is this using SEO? Yes, this is clearly written to rank for search. This was not. Now, here's the thing. The people that are writing this, they are clearly what are they trying to do? They're showing ads, so we know that they're hoping to get some ad revenue. They are linking to other articles that they have, so they're trying to increase on-page time. And they are clearly showing display ads, and they clearly have, look at this, worried about your health? Find a range of women's health pharmacy services delivered by local providers at a time that suits you. Book now. Like, those are the desired actions. When somebody is searching for the content on this page, they stumble onto this, they read it. The marketing goal of this is that somebody will do any one of these things. Because I search for adenomyosis all the time, decided that it was the perfect time to buy a pair of pleated pants. But also, like, that feels like a waste. That feels like a waste of marketing budget. And more often than not, you're going to find, as a business owner, and certainly as a copywriter, more money available for you if you can drive traffic to specific things that benefit the bottom line of the business directly. Usually that involves making sure that the SEO piece hypes some sort of paid product or connects to that, or links directly to some sort of offer or a CTA related to, I don't know, getting a call for a quote or something like that. So, yeah. Yep.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just show Ed, who works with me, said the same thing. Like one of those blogs, the one that I was just referencing, has like one download. The kind of the CTA we kind of sneak into any blog is like, hey, download the app. Yeah, just one of thousands and thousands and thousands of visits. There's also another kind of thing, which I do kind of like, which plays a little bit into SEO, but plays more so into that informing to provoke an action. And to demonstrate, I'm actually going to go onto my desk because I have a box.
Ooh.
I know, right?
I was just going to pull up another example of like SEO at work.
I know you are, but I have a mystery box.
Oh, God.
You guys see it? You want to guess what's in here?
Is it beef jerky?
It's beef jerky. It's a kilo of beef jerky. And there's 4 more boxes under my desk because I'm getting back into that game and I'm currently getting samples. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because beef jerky is a perfect example, as there are many, of what we like to call advertorials. Well, beef jerky isn't an advertorial, but it uses them. Yeah. What is an advertorial? Lindsay, I feel like you're going to be best to explain this, and then we can perhaps pull one up. But I just wanted to, build some intrigue with a box that had beef jerky in it.
I mean, I definitely want to see the beef jerky advertorial. I mean, advertorial is what it sounds like. It's a blend of content, editorial, that also is intended to serve an advertising purpose. In other words, it's copywriting disguised as content writing, which is really fun. And this can come at various points in the funnel. It can come after somebody's opted in and they're now receiving your 30-day gauntlet or whatever, and then they receive an email that is a piece of content, but it's also doing the work of kind of setting the stage to upsell you to a more expensive bit of product, a more expensive product. Today we are cutting wood in the background. Sorry about the background noise. It's either table scraping or
I can't hear this one.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, good. Common advertorials that we see, well, we used to see a lot of in the financial world, are not so much, less nowadays, but it's written as content, something that's entertaining and informative, but that has a very clear call to action at the end, which is to click to end up on the sales letter. And then marketers would drive ads to this content, and it would suck you into the story, but it's not so overwhelming that it's like, hey, here's a VSL or 30 pages of copy. But it's like it's kind of like a lift note. It is intended to just hook you and prompt you to make some sort of micro commitment, which is to click this button to read more. And so, that's essentially what it is. And it can look like a lot of different things, but it's editorial that is doing a bit more heavy lifting on the advertising front, I would say.
I have an example if you guys want to see it.
Yeah.
So this is on huffingtonpost.com. You can see paid content. That's usually how you can tell. It either says advertorial or sponsored or paid content or what have you. Title: use this foolproof flowchart to decide if you should take your preschooler on a vacation. And then a little bit of text: to vacation or not to vacation, yada yada. And then take a look at this chart, which we put together in partnership with Walt Disney World to find out if a vacation is in your near future. So obviously the intent here in deciding if you should take a vacation is to get you to go on a very specific type of vacation. And as you can see, there's a link at the top for Walt Disney World, and there is a link at the bottom. Now is the perfect time to take your preschooler on a vacation. Celebrate the magic and create a lifetime of memories by booking a family trip to Walt Disney World.
That is so on the nose. That's like unbelievably on the nose.
Yeah. It ain't subtle. And guess what? This probably worked really well because people who are fans of Disney are fucking freaks. But this is the landing page that this links to. So, and look, in this landing page, good coherence with the previous one. So the advertorial is specifically foolproof flowchart to decide if you take your preschooler on vacation. So we're talking about young kids here. And look at this, discover magical experiences for younger children. So having that sort of like cross-page coherence is such good marketing. Oh my God.
It's critical, because what will happen is you'll often have one landing page, and then people will go and like write advertorials about it, and then what you'll find is just this like just branching off of different advertorials, and then you start to lose that coherence, and you will wind up on a piece of advertorial that then you click in the landing page is like, what? Like it's just not coherent, and that's where it fails.
Yeah, I don't think people realize or understand that you can get paid money, good money, for making stuff like this, designing flowcharts, making infographics. That's all content too. So anyway, that's just another example. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about in terms of this general category that I have of blogging?
I'm looking at the time, and I actually think probably not. I know we're trying to have a hard stop today, so we've only got 20 minutes left, so we should probably crack on with content. I mean, but you guys have a whole masterclass on this coming, so.
It's not just going to be content. It really is going to be about like how to improve content, how to improve copy. It is already gargantuan. It's only looking like it's going to get even more gargantuan.
It's spiraled.
It has spiraled as project bloat. Our eyes were bigger than our stomach on this one. So let's move on to a different kind of content. We've looked at blogs, and we've looked at subcategories of that, which is SEO articles. One thing that I want to show you guys was, I was like, okay, SEO, how does that work? Okay, I typed in how to get a mortgage, a thing that human people can search for. Now, there's a whole lot of information, mortgage loan, et cetera, et cetera. There's some pull-out stuff from Google. And here at the top rank below all that stuff is Rocket Mortgage, how to get a mortgage, a step-by-step guide. And if you go there, you'll see that this has all the characteristics that I identified before about good SEO. So it's very easy to read. This is an H1. I'm going to guess that this is an H2. This is an H3. And so this is all, how should I say, the stuff that you need for a mortgage. And so if you're looking for a mortgage, this page tells you how to get a mortgage. So good search intent there. And then obviously find out what you can afford. Use Rocket Mortgage to see maximum home price. Get an online approval decision. That's a clear CTA. So this piece of SEO content is actually doing, I think, a better job than this one, because there's a clearer CTA. There is a singular purpose that it is driving towards, which is to get you to apply for a mortgage loan with Rocket Mortgage. That is, if we showed the bad example, this is what you were trying to do. So the next thing that I want to show you guys was case studies, which is another subcategory of blogging and content, which is How Handled, which is the name of a business, scaled from 0 to 121 locations with HubSpot. And so this, let's see, can I get rid of this? I can't. But basically, yeah, this is an example of like how this particular company scaled and grew, and what they did and how they used HubSpot to scale and grow. There's video, there's this, and it's just a whole story plus specific advice of how to use HubSpot to grow. And of course, there is a singular takeaway, CTA, right down here, get a demo. This is driving traffic towards a particular purpose in a singular action. Good content. And if you write a case study, that is a good example of what you're trying to do. Now, we do have to move on to another type of content, which is the bane of my existence, social media content.
Yep.
So I want to show an example of social media content and like what it typically looks like. Gymshark is a big business. They have gotten to be a big business. The main way they got big is by leveraging social media. And a lot of people were surprised by this because they just mostly show pictures like this. And then their captions are not much. Whatever it takes. Not even a CTA. Nothing. And so there will occasionally, with Gymshark, be a few things. Throw back to this, bringing this in. But ultimately, what it comes down to is Gymshark is trying to drive traffic to their shop. This. When you have a good brand, when you do branding well, you don't really need to have a whole lot of CTAs. I think they would do better if they had CTAs and everything. But, that's neither here nor there. They can hire me if they want. But the whole point is to get people to go here and to buy stuff. And what better way than to illustrate and illuminate what people can do in their life if only they had Gymshark clothing? That's the underlying logic of what's going on here. I'm not saying it's the best. I am saying that it is what is going on. So, as you can see, that's what this is doing. It's basically just nonstop commercials for clothing. Now, something that is more, but is Gymshark's audience product aware? Well, each of these pictures is highlighting a product that you can buy. So I would say that these, how should I say, people that are surfing Gymshark, they might not necessarily be product aware, but they might be solution aware. That is, they understand that there is gym clothing in the universe and that they might need it. So they might not be product aware, but they definitely know that they need gym shorts. And hey, look at this. Don't you want to look like this dude? I want that. There you go. Marketing. It just happened. So that is Gymshark. Most brands do this kind of stuff, not really caring much about KPIs or stats. That's something that we were harping on earlier on in the show. And so beyond that, we get into the realm of like personal brands. This is Sorella More. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I'm a huge fan of her because she's like your classic like lifestyle blogger that just like markets her own stuff and very obviously like capitalizing on being a sexy woman on the internet. That's Sorel. She has a YouTube channel dedicated to finance, one dedicated to lifestyle, one to digital nomadism, one to marketing. She is all over the place and she does a pretty good job of it. She has another Instagram called Advanced Selfie. For a while, she was pushing Advanced Selfie and she was using Instagram and leveraging other people. Hey, tag Advanced Selfie if you want your selfie to appear. So what she did was she basically used other people's content to grow a page that she owns. And then eventually she created a bunch of offers related to Advanced Selfie. A course on how to take good selfies, a handbook on Amazon teaching you how to take good selfies, free YouTube tutorials that I'm going to bet you are monetized. That was the point of making this and scaling this, of having all these advanced selfies. Eventually, content and products emerged out of that. And on her main page, it's like a hub and spoke. She is the hub, and this spokes off to other stuff that she does. Her YouTube channel, Advanced Selfie University, other things that she's done, yada, yada. So that is an example of content marketing at work on Instagram. Facebook is a little different. You have people that are, how should I say, posturing. LinkedIn is very much the same way, where you have people that are writing these long posts that are generally about value. Hold on. I want to read some of these comments. Would you want to review the Instagram page of the company that I work for? It's all CTA. Yeah, sure. Fine. Throw it in. Gym clothes are confusing. You should be wearing loose clothes in the gym, but we see the opposite in these photos. Have you ever tried to do a power clean with like baggy pants? It's miserable. No. So if you have an Instagram page that you want us to look at, we can take a look at that. But do any of you guys have any insights about Instagram or Instagram marketing? Or do you want to just look at like somebody on Facebook that's trying to market themselves, or LinkedIn, for example?
I I've worked with influencers quite a few times, and I've also done. I was once building a gluten-free brand, primarily through Instagram, and we built it super quickly just by using good copy. Carousel posts were great for that. I've never seen this like recommended anywhere, but you want good advice on on Instagram post that really works if you're building up a page. Uh, carousel post, first image, either like the big eyes emoji, or something like that with a super intriguing first line, i.e., something like, I mean, we did it as simple like, celiacs need to see this, I think was one of ours. An arrow pointing, as in like, indicating a swipe. That killed. That got such great, engagement, and it was, I think, probably the best post we ever did. Because you need to interrupt a pattern on Instagram more so than anywhere else. Like we always talk about pattern interrupts, but Instagram, I mean, as with everything, but in Instagram, you are scrolling and they're always the same like blocks. Everything is the same block, same block, same block, same block, like same height for everything going through, same format. You see something that's slightly different, i.e., something that really stands out, like a white, just a white blank square with like tiny writing or something. It's like, oh, hang on, what is that? There's a reason that stuff gets you to stop. But yeah, I don't want to dive too much into that now. But yeah, content is everywhere.
Indeed. Do any of you have a Facebook personality or LinkedIn personality that you would like to talk about? No? Okay. I mean, that's all basic. If people are on Facebook and they follow any number of people or personalities, they have been exposed to content. They understand intuitively what they are trying to do.
Okay.
Here, what I tried to do was point out that there is more of a web thing that's going on. Like things are connecting to other things and trying to generally draw you into other places. That's the goal here. It's less intuitive than somebody who writes a Facebook post about how all men have low T and because they eat all the soy and plastic. Alex was about to like speak, but then I started talking about that.
Like, soy. Shit! I've been called a soy boy before. I don't want to go through that again.
I am a soy boy, and I'm proud of it. And you know what? People don't like that, and people, really have developed this little cottage industry of mocking soy boys and like making fun of people for having low T. It is a plight in society now. And so ultimately, yeah, it's interesting because people have this notion, this identification in their head of like what it means to be a man and how it's connected to hormones. And marketers have learned how to exploit that. And of course, exploit you and your money and your idiocy for buying into all that stuff. And so as a result, we definitely have seen a proliferation of people that will just like rage post about like, oh, microplastics are causing all these effeminate men. Oh no!
So bring on the femboys. And can we look at one LinkedIn personality? Just because it's an example of content that we haven't really dived into. Go to a guy called Dan Kelsall, KELSALL. So Dan Kelsall is I think I followed him for a while now. He's a marketer in the UK. I'm not even going to speak to the efficacy of his marketing because I don't know. I don't like follow him that closely. No idea how much money his agency gets in for the campaigns they run. But I do admire him because he's really cut out a niche for himself, especially on LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn is, I'm sure you guys have used LinkedIn. Like I hate it to a degree because it's like just this air of, just like self-fulfilling twats who basically just talk about how great they are and do a big value and act so like, oh, I'm so modest, but look how modest I'm being, that kind of thing. Anyway, his agency, I think it's called Offended, and their whole thing is just about like being the edgy, like marketers who will do stuff that other people are afraid to. Now, whatever you think of that, if you think that's like too on the nose or whatever, is irrelevant. The fact is, he was one of the first people that certainly that I noticed, or has certainly done it most successfully, who took to a platform like LinkedIn, which is known for being very like virtue signally and nice and lovely and professional, and just said, all right, I don't give a shit, I'm going to be completely different. And as such, he's built quite a following, bearing in mind he's just a marketing agency owner in the UK. He's not like, I don't think he's trying to be anything more than that, but he's built quite a big network of people who love his stuff. And if you look at his content and the stuff he does, he's very just like, I don't give a shit, I don't care what you think, this is how it is. Yeah, we're going to push the boundaries. That's a good idea. And the reason I'm drawing attention to this, not because I think everyone should be marketing like this and, you should be edgy or anything like that. Like I said, I don't know how effective the campaigns actually are. But I'm drawing attention to it because in terms of content, if you can be the odd one out in a space, if you can go against the grain, you often get noticed. And content like that, especially on the backdrop of something that is quite sterile, quite like, safe, it really stands out. So yeah, that's one for LinkedIn marketing in particular. That's something that does get around because people go like, oh yeah, God, we're so sick of the professional stuff. This guy is telling you how it is.
Yeah, and I see in the chat that there are people that are like, I got 0 clients, or LinkedIn seems pointless. I know people who have gotten clients from LinkedIn. I know entire agencies that get all of their clients from LinkedIn. And really, it comes down to what Alex just said, which is if you are just the same professional, poised, like put together in a way that like is as bland as a piece of fucking tempeh, or tofu or whatever, like, of course you're not going to stand out. Of course you're going to see middling to poor results. So I can immediately see from this, and look at this copy right here. Most of you reading this produce shit content, but it's not your fault. Already, I know that's good content because this is a tactic that's often used in good copy. This is a problem that you're facing. That's not your fault. It's this other thing that's leading you astray. But who has the answers? Me, with my ebook. Fucking good content. Because if you don't read it, you're just going to be like them. Crappy, a piece of tofu, a soy boy, etc. I don't know why
people forget that LinkedIn, all of these platforms, these are social media. They are intended to entertain people, to focus on relationship, I also personally hate LinkedIn. I can't stand it, and I don't spend any time there because for the most part, it's not entertaining and everybody's wearing suits and it's just like not a place I want to hang out. Right. And then you also get solicited in the exact same way. Like, my chats are always getting hit up by the same type of people, the same type of messaging. Hey, let's connect. And it's just like, it's a terrible experience in my opinion. But you have to remember that it's still a social channel. And what are people looking for on these social channels? They want to be entertained, and they want to form relationships with interesting people who can deliver value to them in some way, whether it's to make them laugh, whether it's to, deliver some sort of business value, whatever. But that's ultimately what these platforms are. There's just social places for people still to hang out and entertain and do some fun stuff, right?
Right. And so exactly in the same way that we criticize like the earlier blog about adenomyosis, I think, where there's just a fundamental misunderstanding of who their target audience is and like what they're actually looking for in those instances. I think one of the places where a lot of people go wrong on LinkedIn is that they are creating content that they think is interesting and might actually be interesting, but it's just for the wrong audience. There are so many people, and I see this a ton with copywriters, where it's like, I'm a copywriter, all the people I'm connected to on LinkedIn are copywriters, and then I'm writing this content for other working copywriters who are never going to hire me and who like may pass some work to me later on, like sometime in the future, maybe. But if what you're trying to do is use LinkedIn as a platform to get more work, to get better work, etc., the content you're making needs to be targeted at the people who have the potential to give you those kinds of opportunities, not all the people around you. And so it can't be cutesy, oh my God, chat GPT, XYZ. It needs to be like, hey, business person at a high level, here's why chat GPT is not actually a threat, or why someone who can use ChatGPT in a specific way that you haven't heard about yet has potential to bring you more profit, make your life easier, whatever. And I just see so many people not doing that.
And even at a business level, like, step away from freelancers for a sec. I see so many startups, particularly, um, write content not for the people they need to target, but for the people who have already invested in them, and for people who are like venture capitalists and people who are CTOs, SaaS startups particularly. And it's amazing. It's so amazing. Again, we have another competitor who I won't name, but they use LinkedIn so much, and you go on the posts. One, it's vanity metrics anyway. You know, they're trying to get people to book demos and stuff, but like, you know that they'll be looking at the likes and being like, oh, you know, this is popping off. But you look at who actually likes it and who comments. It's accountant, lawyer, CTO of the same company, venture capitalist, person who funded it, three other people who were in the network of the guy who owns it, one of the founder's brothers. It's like all these people. It's like, yeah, you've got 46 like love hearts and 3 light bulbs, and then you go in it and like, oh, how many members of the target audience you have actually viewing and engaging with this at all? Oh, 1. Oh, right, and it's an existing customer who's complaining. Oh, okay, cool. It's the same kind of thing. Exactly what Rod is saying there. Is like, so many people just target content, not the people they need to be targeting, but the people who they're used to having around them.
Yeah, I've been pulling up the posts, the most successful posts that I have on LinkedIn, and the most successful posts are always things that take a contrarian take, things that stand out from the crowd, things that are like take a humorous spin on something that other people take too seriously. Like the most successful posts that I have on LinkedIn are about why all the hype and fervor around ChatGPT is utterly fucking stupid, and how people that are caught up in it are also perhaps utterly fucking stupid. And so, like, that's going to stir the pot. I mean, if you look at my LinkedIn page, I list my job currently as arsonist. So, you know, I don't take LinkedIn very seriously. But as a result, I get job opportunities as well as people pitching me all of the time. And so, one of the things that I would encourage you guys to do is to sort of like learn, learn how to be a person, have a personality, and have that come through in your writing, especially if you're doing any content like for yourself or a personal brand, because that is the thing that is going to set you apart from other people. Look for a perspective you have that is different from the crowd, and you're immediately going to be able to attract an audience because you're going to be the one dude that's just like, no, hey, avoid the oncoming train of that typical advice and listen to what I have to say. So if you can create content that is contrarian in that way, you're going to be better off. And that's true whether you're writing for yourself or for any business on the planet. Also, this is a tip, fun fact, little didgeridoo that you need to keep in mind. Contrarian takes sell better and engage better, but they're bad for SEO. Really bad for SEO. So bad for SEO. Because nobody's searching for the thing that they're not thinking of. So you, as a marketer and a content writer, if you get hired to write content, need to be judicious and think carefully about what you're trying to accomplish, because you can generate more sales and more engagement if you have contrarian takes on stuff. Contrarian meaning standing in opposition to whatever the mainstream thought is. But you're going to struggle if you're trying to grow via SEO or search that way. And also, you're going to polarize an audience, and some business owners don't like that, even though it often is the best business decision that you can make. And by polarize, I don't mean just like insult everybody, which is what I do whenever I write a political post. I mean, instead, like try to offend a particular group or mainstream line of thought, so that the people that are already suspicious about that line of thought see you as an authority and a voice that they want to hear more from. That's good advice, regardless of the kind of content that you write. Now, another piece of advice that I had I've already forgotten. So I'm going to kick it to the floor. Lindsay, you have a hard stop, don't you?
I do have a hard stop. I was going to say this sucks because I'm getting off at the type of content that I work in and love, which is email content and the like. But I think, like that's a really good segue because that's where contrarianism really shines, is in that area. And I know you guys will crush it. So I'm sorry to leave. But one of these days, we'll keep it contained within 2 hours, and I'll be able to actually stay on for the end.
And more importantly, stay on for the bit that you have the most to say about.
Oh, damn it. We should have rethought the plan.
I know.
Lindsay, it just means everyone's going to have to buy whatever you put out about content.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, before I go, like, I will do a pitch. As you guys have heard, like, Sean and I have been working on what has become a content mastery masterclass. And it is not largely about just, writing SEO articles. That's not at all what it's about. It's actually about like how to write good in the world of copywriting and also content writing, because we approach it as kind of one and the same. Once you become a really good content writer and copywriter, they're kind of synonymous. But we talk about everything from like how to actually write, the technicals of it. But we also talk about like the strategy behind it. And, we covered a little bit about like intent of these pieces and how they exist in a larger universe and funnel and all of that stuff. And so this masterclass really goes full circle into like, how do you actually technically do copywriting? And also there's a self-editing component that's built in. How do you actually, after you've written something, look at it, assess it, and know whether it's good or not, and whether it's worth putting out in the world and showing your client. And so I'm sure, Sean will share more about it, but stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and if you would like to receive a notification of when that is released, make sure to put in your email address and sign up for our email list at copythatshow.com.
Yeah.
You will also receive a 21-day free copywriting course. There'll be a little bit of content marketing in there. There's going to be a few CTAs. I got to warn you. We're going to market to you. Bye, Lindsay.
Bye, Lindsay. See ya.
And also, we're going to make sure that anybody who is a patreon.com/the Copy That Show member is also going to receive a discount, a very big discount on whatever it is we release, whenever we release it. For the Copy Career Accelerator that we did, we offered a pretty hefty discount for anybody who is already a patron. And we're going to do that, I think, in perpetuity from now on, because we love the people that love us. So,
they mean we can live and eat in that.
It's a very codependent relationship. I need the validation from our audience. I need the love, and I want to love them back. But also, don't love anybody else back. I get jealous.
If I find out that people in our audience are watching other copywriting channels, I might die.
I would cry a little bit.
Yeah, it would be very upsetting.
A little bit?
Yeah.
So, would you guys like to press on and talk about email content writing?
I certainly can.
Sure.
Let us do it. So we've gotten, before we move on, we've gotten this question twice now. Can you guys do a video on negotiating and closing deals? Go onto our YouTube at youtube.com/copythat. We have an entire video on how to sell yourself as a copywriter.
Yes.
It is over an hour long. It has everything that you need.
I think it's like our third or fourth or maybe even second most viewed video as well. So
it's up there.
Yeah, go and watch that. It's very good.
We got another question. Speaking of email marketing, I took your advice and signed up to email list and received the 6th subject line. If I steal it, will I get in trouble? Here's how you steal a subject line. I'm going to show you my screen. Hey, this is an email. It is a piece of content that has been emailed. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Here is the subject line, the biggest misperception in the markets today. Here's how you steal a subject line or a headline. The biggest blank in the blank today. And then you just fill in the blanks with whatever it is you're talking about. There you go. That's how you steal. That's how you steal a subject line without getting into trouble. So, shall we talk about email content? Do you guys have anything that you would like to say about email content before we get into it?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Good.
The note you made earlier about contrarian marketing and how it's not great for SEO is a good point. And and it's also good to mention that when you have people who you know have bought into something about you, or usually the way in which you see the world or the way in which you present the world, that is the perfect opportunity to use that contrarian marketing, because you know that you already have some buy-in. And so if you can present people with information, with a take, with a headline, with content that they feel like other people don't have access to, and confirm some existing beliefs they have about the world, you're gonna fucking kill it.
Absolutely true. And wow, what's with your inbox for 8,624 emails? Yeah, I get emails a lot.
Oh, another one just came in. Literally, as you said that.
Yeah, I ain't gonna read it.
Yeah, I'm also I want to do another point before we get into the too heavily into the content side of it. But just as a tip, content emails, i.e., emails that are valuable outside of just driving revenue, i.e., they build a relationship, they get people to open and to click. That can be very valuable in emails because there's a little thing called an email filter. And the more people open and click through to your landing pages, the better that Gmail and blacklist websites and the like your email as good and your domain as reputable. And you want that because, believe me, you do not want your emails to go in spam. So it's also very decent just to send out very valuable content every now and then that people like to read and is entertaining, because it's going to give them a better experience and it's going to give you a better reputation. I'm also eating beef jerky, and I apologize for that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. I know it's dinner time for you. Well past dinner time, actually. So most of you have seen an article from a newsletter or a newspaper. Newsletter articles, or what are called e-letter articles, in the parlance, this is not everybody uses this, but e-letters are just free daily, typically, or weekly emails that contain some sort of piece of editorial content. As you can see, this is not gearing towards a sale. The all-time greatest investors made their money by focusing on one strategy. From sentence one, we're a little curious, and so we want to understand. But as we go through, we see some recommended links. These are obviously ads. These will take you to sales pages, but the article continues down below, and we see more and more content. This is a full article that has takeaways and questions and other things that you can do, as well as further reading and other things that you can pay attention to. Now, the purpose of these kinds of emails, like Alex said, are to engage, to keep you out of the spam filter, to get people reading. Again, if you have some sort of like interesting or contrarian take, newsletters do really, really well for a business. But not every business needs a newsletter. Your fence post business doesn't need a newsletter. So a lot of businesses will pay for that, but like SEO, it's not necessary for every type of business. You certainly don't need to publish content. Another thing that I've noticed is that a lot of businesses that do SEO also do not do email. And so like they're just publishing SEO blogs, but not emailing it to a list. So yeah, it's one of those things where if you're going to do one, you might as well do both. You might as well like publish these articles on a website as well, on the off chance that you can get a little bit of search traffic later on or links later on. There are a few email marketers that don't advise that. I believe Daniel Throssell, he publishes his emails. All of his content is in his emails. He learned from the marketer Ben Settle, who does this. And if you're not subscribed to his emails, you don't get his emails. They're not on the web. But also, those marketers are trying to do a very particular thing. They want you to engage with those emails. Whereas this business wants you to engage with the content and wants to reach a broader audience. And so ultimately, this type of content is designed to do a different thing than what, say, a Daniel Throssell email would do. Daniel Throssell emails also typically have one CTA by Market Detective or something like that, or in the case of Ben Settle, by Ben Settle's book. Here, these are what are called space ads. A lot of e-letters are published and they become monetizable because they have these little ads. These are like little display ads, but these are space ads. If you've ever seen the word SPAD or space ad, this is what it looks like. And if you click this, it takes you to a sales letter page. This is a VSL. And so this is the ad. Here you go. You've now witnessed the upper bit of the funnel. But people on this free list getting these articles, they might not have signed up for advertising, but they might be interested in this. And then they might click on this. And they might be interested to learn more about this. And that's when they buy. And that's the purpose of putting out content like this, getting people to open so that there's an increased chance that they are going to like the person that's speaking, like the business that's speaking to them, and maybe see something that entices them along the way, which is what space ads are for. So that's the point of doing content in this manner. There are other types of content that are published via email as well. I will show one other example, and that is the Hustle newsletter. You guys are familiar with Hustle, correct? Same thing, except it's, how should I say, a little bit more diverse. Rather than it's one essay or one blog post by one dude that's being sent via email, there's an article that, summarizes this piece of information. There's a little bit of information here. This is what we would call in the business a brief. You can get paid money for briefs. I've paid money for briefs. These are snippets. These are also briefs. Some of these, I'm going to guess, are going to link to affiliate sites. Definitely some of them. Here's a little infographic. And again, like, the Hustle pays people to write this stuff. Each of these different articles is something that somebody can get paid to write. And so here you go, free resource, an intro to coding into Python, Python crash course. That's probably an affiliate link. Let's check. Yeah, look, it's a HubSpot offer. There you go. HubSpot owns the Hustle, so there you go. They are advertising their own thing. And if you look around here, some of this stuff, yeah, there's just a proliferation of content. You can get a custom referral link, but there used to be in the Hustle, I don't know if they do it in every single issue, just a list of like referred links that are just affiliate offers, as in they link to somebody else's product and they advertise that, which is basically serving the same role as a space ad, except it's leading to a sale in some other business that then kicks back to the Hustle. So one of the keys with writing content in this way is understanding, how should I say, how to summarize things in a way that is exciting, enticing, entertaining, worth opening and paying attention to, and then also like gets the point across in a very small amount of page space. I cannot tell you how many copywriters I've met who really struggle with synthesizing information in this small space, like really struggle with it. And one of the things that you're going to notice too is that ChatGPT and other AI writers, they can't do this kind of stuff. For one, most of them are not hooked up to the internet. And two, like, they're not scouring specific articles and drawing information from them. So look at this. All this information is coming from, and all these numbers are coming from very specific articles. ChatGPT will just make stuff up if you ask it to. And so all this information is coming from actual sourced research. And that's something that, like, ChatGPT can like give you pain points, can give you a list of benefits and things like that. They can't tell you what an analysis found and how to use that. So all of this really comes down to, like, the good content comes down to you researching well and understanding how to put content and research together in a way that is compelling, evocative, and interesting. That's how you keep people. So, and
I agree.
Ad. So there you go. So what thoughts or what questions or what do you guys have to say about email content? What more advice can we give about email content?
I think you may have touched on this. I think just remembering that you know, how many emails get read? Like really, 10%?
Not this
Maybe?
amount.
Yeah. So if Sean has had what 4,800 emails that he's read in the time that's taken him to get those, then that's like a 10% hit rate. 90% of emails don't get read. There we go. I'm just making that up, but probably. Most people just delete. They swipe as soon as they get it, and then they see red and it's gone. So you have to kind of almost appreciate and respect the reader, the person you're sending it to, and respect their time. It sounds a bit too cliche and a bit too philosophical, but I genuinely believe that you can't just think of an email as everyone sends emails, I'll just shit out an email quickly. Like when it comes to content, when it comes to something valuable, you need to genuinely think about, okay, what could I write that is going to mean the most and be the most valuable to a person right now? Not because I think you have any kind of duty to a reader. You know, we could debate the ethics of marketing all day, but purely because it does get noticed and that extra thought does come into it. It's a difference between, um, let's say, I don't know, it's a snow day, right? It's snowing, and every company then jumps in an area, jumps on like putting an email out about how it's snowing. Most companies are just like, I'll get an email out about how it's snowing. Like, just, you know, just use that as an excuse to get something out. So they just said, oh, like enjoying the snow, or like want to get sleds or whatever. Um, do something really lazy. But you may have a genuine think and go, okay, well, when was the last time it snowed? Is this a shock to most people? Do people have the right gear to deal with this over the next 2 weeks? Is it a blizzard coming? Should I actually think about what people are thinking about the fact that it snowed? Now, this is a really bizarre example, but the reason being is you find that deeper why, like what are people thinking, what they're going to be interested in, and then you come out with something like, hey, don't like, do you want to pile into like, do you want to pile off road tomorrow? Something like that, right? Or are you ready to smash your neighbor's fence in? Something like just super intriguing that is extremely different and is more because you've given more thought to it than just, hey, it's snowing. But you can link both of those things about how it has snowed. That was a really weird example, and it's probably because I'm jacked up on beef jerky right now. But reason being is that I've seen intrigue lateral thoughts like that dominate emails that would have otherwise just have been a really quick, just, oh yeah, just get something out there really quickly. The open rates will be a lot higher, the engagement will be a lot higher, and sometimes sales will be even higher. If you try to actually think about what you're sending and respect someone's time by giving them something that's interesting rather than just generic, they'll reward you for it. So that's probably the only thing I'd add about email content. Oh, Sean, I can't hear you. Is that just me?
Sorry. So really quick, I want to answer this question or respond to this. I always try to make it as short as possible, no bullshitting, directly to the offer and what do they benefit. I'm assuming you're speaking about sales copy, but with content copy, content writing, that doesn't really work. Like, look at this. Look at this. Where's the fluff? Does any of that qualify as bullshitting? But also, are there any benefits in here? No. No, and it's not directing to an offer either. So what you think is good copy doesn't work here because the point is not the same. The point that these people are trying to do is very succinctly describe a larger set of statistics and what's going on with a business and what we can learn from it. It's designed to entertain, to evoke, to educate, to delight, etc. And so the goal is different. We're not linking to an offer here. We are instead trying to get people to either click to something related to HubSpot, which is the owner of the hustle, or they're trying to get you to stay on the page and engage with this, or conversely, keep reading. So that's the point of what's trying to happen, what they're trying to get done here. So there's a balance that you have to strike when you're writing content, because how should I say, you need to be like a kilt when it comes to your content. You need to be long enough to cover the subject, but you need to be short enough to keep it interesting. So,
Most people say skirt, but all right.
I'm working on my sexism. It's a thing. I've been doing a lot of like late night meditative, reflective sessions, and I'm trying to get better about it.
Now you're just down to berating someone's national dress.
Exactly, specifically Scottish people, which I, Sean McIntyre, do not know anything about.
So that's just casual xenophobia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Better.
So when it comes to email content, really what I want you to understand or take away from this is it typically falls into a handful of categories. Case studies like what I showed you before, stories like personal blogs or entries into a blog. You'll typically see that with like a Dan Throssell or Ben Settle, where it'll just be like a daily musings or ramblings about something. It doesn't even have to matter much. It's like an episode of Seinfeld where there's no point, and the humor comes from the fact that there's no point, except to like drive you to a sale. And then other types of content are more like news articles, but like opinion pieces about the news. And this qualifies more as like op-eds, things like that, except it's more informative than that. And that's typically what you see in the email marketing world. There's other stuff too, but that's the bulk of what you can get paid to write. It's a lot harder for you to write emails like a Dan Throssell or Ben Settle for companies because, again, like SEO, most companies would not benefit from something like that. So if you were the type of person to sign up to Dan Throssell's emails to try to learn how to write like Dan Throssell, you are doing yourself a disservice because that kind of writing isn't going to do you well or serve you well for almost any other project that you do in the course of your life, unless you're just trying to sell yourself that way. That's the point of why they do that way. So let's move on then to another type of content, specifically newsletters. This is a newsletter. Somebody, I showed this particular page, which is a sales letter. When somebody buys that, like goes and actually puts in their credit card number, what do they get? Well, they typically get a newsletter that looks like this, which is almost identical to this and this, but typically designed better and hopefully having more valuable information. So let's zoom in a little bit. As you can see, same thing. A newsletter has sort of a variety of different content, and most newsletters do. And the goal here is, again, to fulfill, but there are also some CTAs here, like going to YouTube or what have you. And it's all very passive because when somebody's seeing this, chances are they've already paid you. So there you go. Oftentimes you'll see a link to, for example, a back-end offer or some other like cross-pollination, an affiliate link, et cetera, et cetera. But this, as you can see, is what a newsletter looks like. And I can tell you from originally being a managing editor for newsletters, you need somebody who can write this. That's typically the guru. You need somebody who can write this and assemble this data. You need to hire somebody who can write this or like work with this particular person to produce content for them. And typically that involves a lot of ghostwriting. Oh, look at this, a listicle. Somebody, a managing editor, worked with this person to create this piece of content. Sometimes this author will hire a copywriter to do it for them. That's very, very common. And so other resources for entrepreneurs and small business owners. Copywriters can get paid to collect, assemble, and aggregate this kind of stuff for paid newsletters. What's the difference between a newsletter and an editorial? So this is all editorial. All of this is editorial. Everything that you're looking at is what we would call editorial. And so editorial in a journalism sense is what you would consider to be like an opinion piece. Like, hi, I'm Rush Limbaugh, and this is why I don't like immigration. That's my impression of journalism, like newspaper editorial. When we talk about editorial in a broader sense, I'm talking about all of this stuff. None of this stuff is trying to get you to buy stuff. None of it is pushing you to an offer. Because again, this is what people get when they buy an offer. So we're seeing a lot of comments like related to, I'm beginning to think content marketing fits appropriately for completely unaware businesses like SaaS and finance. Impossible to make that distinction. And I think we're going to have to do a video at some point in the next content sprint about how stupid the stages of awareness are. Like if you are a beginner copywriter, just forget the stages of awareness. It's not going to help you. And so like, don't worry about that.
I don't agree with that.
I agree with that.
No, the stage of awareness are great when you're starting out.
No, I disagree.
Ground
completely.
you.
No,
I'm somewhere in the middle, and I feel very passionately about that.
But this just goes to show different ways to get to success.
Exactly. All roads lead to Rome. And like, here's the thing. If you are writing like a piece of content like this, what are you writing about? Like, look at this. COVID-19 survival tips from a former combat medic. It doesn't matter if a person is unaware or product aware or what have you. It has no connection to that. None whatsoever. So it doesn't help you to frame this content with that framework. It's like assessing an apple by how sharp it is. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, unless you're trying to stab someone.
Well, yes. In which case you would pick up the apple and go, on a scale from 1 to sharp, is this? And then you would toss it aside and look for something else. And so here's the thing. A number of people are saying it's boring. But also, like, people read stuff. Like they read books and articles. They learn things. And one of the issues that a lot of early stage content writers have is that they don't read a lot of content. And so they don't learn how to write good content because they get bored by it. And a lot of copywriters struggle with that too, because they need everything to be flashy and punchy. And oh my God, it needs to be an offer with the things and the rhetoric and the stuff. Everybody needs to calm down, because ultimately content, it's serving a different role. It's serving a different function. Good content should read like copy. And I'm not saying this is the best content in the world, but guess what? People paid for this and kept paying for this. It was a very popular newsletter for a while. And so this question, a newsletter is a type of editorial. No, that's incorrect nomenclature. Newsletter includes editorial. This is a piece of editorial in a newsletter. There you go. I brought up the framework because these examples for content marketing appear to educate their audience. But about what and to what end? Is the question that I have for you about that. And so all of these pieces of content, they serve different roles. They serve different functions. So you can't, this content marketing, this belongs in the unaware bucket. Doesn't work like that. It's not so simple.
Yeah, I agree. And there's definitely a case to be made of what are you using the stages of awareness for? When you're a beginner and you're trying to work out, like, I'm writing to an audience, what should I be saying to them? Then fantastic. There's so much bad marketing that just by understanding that measure of persuasion could be made a lot better. But yes, for things when you fall back on the stages of awareness every single time for every single thing, it's going to misfire. It's going to misfire a lot, because there is the kind of deep kind of depths of nuance in marketing and copywriting when you get down to it, especially when it comes to something like content.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I say that the stages of awareness I've come to feel is less valuable for newbies is simply because, one, they get analysis paralysis, like obsessing over what stage of awareness is this piece of marketing. Oh no. When in all likelihood, it's going to be more for the more direct, because very few businesses actually market to unaware audiences. Most don't. Certainly the people hiring you are, for the most part, going to be trying to target people that are either already aware of problems, already aware of other solutions, and are trying to market things that are better than those other solutions. Like, I would say 95% of the jobs that I've ever seen freelancers do are for those stages of awareness. That's it. And so
that's most of them.
Yeah.
you unaware is like, yeah, definitely. I've never written for an unaware audience.
Yeah, so financial primarily targets unaware audiences. And that's the whole point of what's called big idea marketing. That's the whole what you're trying to do with an unaware audience is you're trying to like catch them and entertain them and delight them and like open their eyes to something that they are completely unaware about. A problem that exists that they weren't aware of, or something going on in the world, an opportunity that they weren't aware of, and then gently guide them to one indisputable conclusion, which is that they need a product to take advantage of that thing that they were unaware of up to that point, which is why you typically see long copy connected to or geared towards unaware audiences. That's almost exclusively where you find sales letters going now. But if you go one stage more aware to like, I guess it would be problem unaware folks would be the stage above that. Then it makes sense to have like still long copy, but more problem solution oriented copy, as in people are aware that perhaps, I don't know, their financial results are not as good, or perhaps they have this one problem with, like, oh, my tummy hurts all the time. And the copy can educate them about the various causes of why they might have some sort of tummy ache.
Is that a common thing in financial?
Tummy aches?
My tummy hurts all the time.
Only when I'm trading.
Please do a subject line for DIY Wealth, which is my tummy hurts all the time.
I maybe I'll do a video about that. But the point that I'm trying to make about the stages of awareness is that when it comes to content marketing, the stages of awareness don't help you. Because ultimately, you can have content that is geared towards any stage or every stage, and the purpose really is to educate, to inform, to instruct. This is another example of a paid newsletter. Look at this. All good things come to an end. A truism we've heard many times, yada, yada, yada. And this is all about the state of the world and money printing and how gold fits into all of it. So here's the thing. This is going to be really boring for you if you aren't interested in macroeconomics, the economy, gold, you're not interested in investing. If you're not interested in those things, well, guess what? You're not going to care about this stuff. But also, this isn't written for you. The person who bought an offer that led to this was probably unaware at a certain point, or maybe vaguely problem aware. But ultimately, yeah, this is designed to fulfill on an idea that captivated an audience and compelled them to buy. This latest wave of bank collapses changes everything. Now you need to know what to do next. This right here is not geared towards people who are solution aware. I'm telling you that right now. Because if they were solution aware, this would not be enticing.
Yeah, we should do another video on the stage of awareness, definitely.
Yeah, look at this. I've been stressing about the stage of awareness lately, and I haven't gotten a spec piece done yet. I honest to God, I think that, when we talk about pedagogy, we talk about like how to teach people how to write copy. One of the things that I don't think we do well enough is like look at the tools that we're giving to people and go, is this a good tool for what it's designed to do? And the stage of awareness is just a tool. It's not gospel. It's not useful in every case. And really what it comes down to is, hey, and no, there was not a link to a PDF because it was a paid product for a thing that I probably shouldn't have shared in the first place. But yeah, stressing about the stage of awareness and like obsessing about it, it's not helpful. And it's not helpful for most people because, again, in all likelihood, 95% of the time, it's going to fall into two camps. The people at the fringes, the kinds of copywriters that do really well with most aware audiences and unaware audiences, that's where you can make the most money, but it's also where you're going to find the fewest amount of jobs, at least in my experience.
We should definitely do a video about it. I'm not going to get into it now because we'll get into another hour-long conversation. But yeah, we should do a video about it. I think it'd be interesting.
Of course. So this is what a newsletter looks like. And again, this is what a newsletter looks like. This is what's called a contributor's letter, as in there are many contributors. So different writers, different people, different personalities that have contributed content to this broader piece of content. Whereas this is just one long deep dive into a particular subject. People pay for that too. You, as a copywriter, can also get work doing this kind of stuff. This has actually been my bread and butter for the last couple of years, writing stuff like this. So, anything else that they want to see or talk about when it comes to this kind of stuff?
Not for me. This is very much your world. I like it.
Rod, I don't know if he likes it very much.
It's not that. There is a space for content. Everyone consumes content. People are consuming content right now. If they are watching the stream, if they watch our videos, if they read our emails to an extent. One thing that might help with thinking about like this form of content where there aren't really a ton, if any, CTAs, where the content itself doesn't seem to be addressing like the core of what related products may be, especially in the case of like what are ultimately fulfillment emails for a product someone has already bought. It's just to think about the mind state that somebody is in. Like, what is the world that that person is in? What are the things that they're thinking about? Where do you have to be mentally to click on an article to search out the kind of information that is being presented in said content? Like if I go to patient.co, if I'm looking up like whatever kind of like illness stuff, like what is it that I'm thinking? What are the kinds of what are the things I believe about the world if I'm the kind of person who is Googling information on medical conditions and like what and subsequently like what would I like to have presented to me as a result? If I'm looking for financial information, if I'm subscribing to a financial newsletter, what does that say about my propensity for receiving certain kinds of information? I'm more likely probably to be receptive to hearing financial terms, to be receptive to conversations about stock trends and analysis and stuff like that. So even if it's really boring to someone who would not be. And so thinking about things like the stages of awareness from your perspective and not from the perspective of somebody who is actually engaging with the content or the people who you're trying to reach in the first place ends up being really misguided. And I think that's why it's so hard, particularly for beginners, to use stages of awareness appropriately, because it's really hard to tune yourself to what is the audience thinking, what are different audiences thinking without having so much experience.
Yeah, I would agree with that. A lot of the difficulty that I see with people with the trouble that they're having with the stages of awareness is, one, they just haven't been exposed to enough copy yet. They haven't read enough copy, and they haven't thought about like what types of copy are doing differently to others. Now that this stream has been introducing people to the realm of content, there's trying to like again fit this new thing into that existing paradigm, which sometimes it fits and sometimes it doesn't. Like this 9 home remedies for tonsillitis. Guess what? This article is not geared towards unaware people. It obviously isn't, because somebody's going to be like, tonsillitis, what's that? So the people have to know that they have a problem. So automatically, this is, again, going to fall into what I said, which is on the more aware side of stuff. The vast majority of what you can get paid to write is on the more aware side of the spectrum. And this is going to be effective in speaking to people that want a home remedy for tonsillitis. I don't know if it's going to be effective at selling me this dress, though I am tempted to click on it. But one of the things that everybody needs to keep in mind is that when it comes to content, your goal is not always to sell stuff. And your goal is to try to understand what people know about a topic and to evoke and inspire and entertain and delight based off of what they already know. And what people know is going to be different depending upon how they stumble upon that piece of content. If it's SEO, we know how people got here. Somebody searched for home remedies and tonsillitis. That's what that took them to this page. When it comes to this, well, how do people get here? They had to already be a fan of this. And so the writing here is going to have a different, how should I say, slant than this. because this needs to explain, like, a little bit about like what tonsillitis is, tonsillitis symptoms, give some of that context before going into like what people actually search for, the home remedies. Whereas this person can just assume that, hey, people want this content. And if you are writing for an audience that actually wants to hear more from you, you can sell a lot for one, but also you can sell without really having to sell very hard. That's powerful. That's kind of the point of branding. A couple of questions really quick. What if you write for different stages of awareness? Instead of stressing about it, you write twice so end product may be better and you get practice in as well. Here's the question that I have for you. Okay, your product that you're writing about is bone broth. What would be an ad hook for bone broth for somebody that was, I don't know, solution aware versus somebody who was merely problem aware? Go. What is it? What are you going to write? Alex, Rod, anything?
Oh, for us?
Sure.
What does bone broth do, Sean? What is it good for?
That's kind of my point.
What is it good for? I don't know. Is it for calcium? Do you get calcium from bones as well?
To grind up their bones and get their calcium. Yeah, exactly. Sort of prodding challenge that I had there was that thinking about the stages of awareness for everything and then doing like, here's an ad for this stage of awareness, here's an ad for this, oftentimes is not helpful. A better way to think about stuff is different demographics that might be served by the same product. And I'll give a very specific example, the Iron Neck. The Iron Neck marketing is brilliant and everybody should look that up. They don't do content so much that I've seen, but their actual marketing is pretty brilliant. They had a series of ads go out to MMA fighters. That's where they started. And so it was all about like training your neck, getting strong because that reduces concussions. And that was the main like selling point. Train your neck, don't get concussions when you get hit. Great. So that sold well for MMA fighters, but it didn't really sell well for anybody else. It certainly didn't sell well for like an Alex or a Rod. Then all of a sudden, new ads come out. And these ads are for gamers. Hey, are you a gamer? Is your neck like this all of the time? Are you experiencing neck pain, back pain, etc.? Well, here's the Iron Neck to help you overcome your neck pain from gaming all of the time. So again, stages of awareness, forget it. What was more important, more helpful for Iron Neck in scaling their business was understanding how to appeal to different demographics that have different needs. That was powerful. So look at this. After this stream, I'm thinking content marketing goes beyond writing because that symptom checker looks fun to play with, and that's nothing to do with copy and more to do with funnels. I would say yes, it has more to do with funnels. And you can have an entire business that scales with zero attention paid to content marketing. So that is a thing that you can do. There are other types of copy content that you can get paid to write, but I will simply open the floor to, because I've been talking a lot, to Alex and Rod. What do you guys think? What more can we say about content?
Yeah, it's pretty good, but also it's not good sometimes. So maybe do it.
It's a thing you can do if you want. Much more seriously, content is a great way to get in the door to this world of online writing, making money writing, doing copy, content, whatever. Just one of the things we're always saying is that you just need to start, and you need to start writing, but also you need to start getting paid so that this whole writing thing is sustainable for you in the long term. And it is relatively easy to get a content writing job with little to no experience. It can be a little bit harder for copywriting or jobs framed as copywriting jobs because it's often the case that the people who are aware enough to put copywriting specifically in their job description are thinking more about KPIs, are thinking more about your experience. And so those people may have more questions about, well, what have you done? Whereas for content, it usually is more so, can you write good? And if you can write good or good-ish, or by someone's standard of good that may not actually be that good, you can get a job doing content writing. And that's, that's a good place to start. And once you're making money, once you're kind of on your feet, once you feel like you can kind of do a little bit more, start, reaching towards those copywriting jobs if that's the direction you want to go.
Oh,
There
God.
are many pitfalls to content writing, as we've talked about. But there's nothing wrong with getting started there. And for everyone here, like, I guarantee if you are listening to the show right now, you just need to do something. It's fine if that's content.
Yeah.
And for businesses watching, I think a question you need to ask yourself is it useful for our business to otherwise engage with our audience outside of sales? That's probably the question you need to ask yourself. And if it's not worth it, like if you don't need to maintain a good relationship with your customers, if it's a kind of a one and done thing, if it's almost entirely based on direct purchases or direct a problem occurs, they need a solution, and then you are there for it. If it's based on anything like that, then you probably don't need content marketing, but you certainly don't need it at the stage you're at now. Most likely, content is something that most businesses should be worrying about after they have worked out, as Michael Masterson would put it, your optimum selling strategy. Like, after you've worked that out, then you can move into the realm of, okay, how can we best please the people we talk to, and how can we keep them engaged? And I have to say, like, Irakli as well, who's down there, if anyone needs a content strategist, go hire Irakli, because I've seen him work his magic, and I've seen him blow up traffic and get content to work. So yeah, but that's what I would say about content.
I'm interviewing him on Thursday, so that's exciting.
I know he's a lovely chap.
So he's going to share a lot of his insights and secrets regarding content marketing. Hopefully he'll share some of them. His Twitter recently has been an amazing source of good information. I personally prefer the content marketers who fulfill on the internet what I think the internet is for, which is jokes. But I'll give Irakli a pass on this one. His content is good enough and informative enough that it's worth paying attention to, even though I don't think anybody should pay attention to anything unless there's a poop joke in it. So his interview is going to be on youtube.com/copythat. There will be a short version on YouTube. You can stay tuned and for that. The full version, of course, will be on patreon.com/thecopythatshow, as with all of our extended interviews with experts and people in the marketing industry that you can learn from. But yeah, that more or less was a stream about content and content marketing. It was a very, very broad overview. We are going to do deeper dives into specific things and how to do this stuff well in the future. But hopefully this is a good introductory level survey to how to start thinking about content marketing, the role of it, and why to do it and why not to do it. As somebody starting out trying to get a check, don't be picky. If somebody wants you to write a blog post, don't be like, well, why do you want me to write a blog post? Don't you think that's a suboptimal way to engage your list? No, shut up. I hate you. But work with them a little bit. And once you gain their trust and once you have their ear and, once you're the little demon sitting on their shoulder, then you can be like, hey, psst, hey, copy that nights. Hey.
Oh no.
Why don't we think about what we're doing and why we're doing it? Because that's a really good way to improve everything that we're doing. And once you can get to that spot, that's when you're going to start making some serious money. But you only get there once you start doing those jobs where it might be of questionable value to the business at the beginning.
Eat shit. That I'm not saying that to our audience. I just mean you gotta.
What the fuck?
You say the
sometimes
things.
No,
Out of nowhere,
I don't mean that.
You swear
Sometimes you have to eat shit. Like, that's what, how you say
Swear at
that
the audience.
sometimes? Oh no, not you guys. Oh, that comes across badly.
That's part of a divine monologue. Have you ever seen Pink Flamingos?
No.
Classic
No.
underground movie, but basically Divine is asked the question, so what are your politics? And Divine says, legalize first-degree murder, advocate cannibalism, eat shit, filth are my politics, filth is my life. So
I didn't even know it. Eat shit.
there you
Context, Alex.
Yep.
Context.
go.
Yeah.
Alex, filth is Alex's politics.
No.
So, do we have any more, I get broad general advice for content? I guess I would recap some of the things that we've said over the course of the stream. Search intent is everything. Context is everything. Understanding the role of the piece of content you're writing in the broader context of the business, as well as your competitors' businesses, is crucial to understanding why your content is going to do well or why it should exist in the first place. Use Lindsay's tool that she gave you, which is the what and the why. Think about what you were trying to do in context and why people should have that takeaway, and then just flip them. The beginning of a piece of content is the why people should care, and what people should do is what you leave people with. Other piece of advice that we kind of covered. Guys, help me here.
It was always consider what the point of the content is. I know we spoke about context, but also what are you trying to get it to do? I.e., is it to monetize? Is it purely to engage? Is it to support a wider strategy? Is it because you have a specific monetization method already in mind, like affiliate marketing? Sometimes you need to take a step back, have a look at everything that's happening, not just that that you're writing an article about 9 home remedies for tonsillitis, but is that going to help direct towards that core goal of the business, of signing people up to a SaaS? But as Sean said, and as I said, sometimes you have to eat shit and accept that you have to do those tasks to get to a point where you can engage and talk to people. What else do we say?
Have we restated that some content was worth more than other content?
We have not restated that, but I think that's worth restating.
Well, I just did.
Oh, good.
Fun.
Yes, some content is definitely worth more, and some content can definitely get you paid more. Don't fall into the trap of like writing for a content mill, churning out a bunch of SEO articles for a business that doesn't need SEO. SEO is useful for some businesses in some contexts, and certainly not all of them. Your plumber doesn't need SEO. Your plumber needs a good landing page and a good media buyer. That's what a plumber needs. And so those are the things that you would kind of pitch. But when it comes to content, if you want to get better at content, start a blog. Like, start actually writing longer form Facebook posts, start actually posting on LinkedIn, start actually reading more content, because not only is that going to help you with your actual copywriting, because you'll have more information that you can pull from, but you'll also have a wider array of, how should I say, knowledge about what you can do to entertain, delight, instruct, and keep people reading, because content, like copy, also needs to keep people reading. I think that was a stream, guys. I think that was a full episode of Copy That.
I'm done, even if it wasn't.
I mean, there's one piece of advice there that I think that we left out that is really important for people to hear if they want to get better at content. And
Is it?
Yeah. There's this wonderful website. It's full of resources. It's called patreon.com/thecopythatshow. And if you go there and sign up, and I know it might be a little scary, signing up. It's not one of those like $10,000 courses. We tried to sell one of those recently. It didn't go so well. So, we're going back down to, the meager $20 per month. For thousands or, probably hundreds of hours of content at this point type model. But if you go there are so many great resources on everything from some content writing stuff to some copywriting stuff to many, many, many dozens of masterclasses on everything you could possibly want to know, from product descriptions to email mastery. So if you like the stream, if you want to support the show, if you love me personally, please go to patreon.com/thecopythatshow.
That was good. That was a good plug. I like that.
Thank you.
Better plug than I did over the course of the show. Really quick, I want to answer this question. Sean, are you Vsauce? No, I am not Michael from Vsauce. I am substantially more attractive, definitely much stronger, but way less intelligent.
Whoa. Whoa. I know you didn't just do Michael Dirt.
I like the bounce there.
Funnily enough, I mean, I never sent it to you because I'm not as mean as Rentality is, but I did see you and Michael from Vsauce on YouTube Shorts next to each other doing like the exact same face. This was months ago now, and I thought it was very funny. But I was like, I don't know how, like that would affect Sean, so I'm not going to send that in the group chat. I'm going to instead say it in front of dozens of people live on YouTube.
Hey, a few hundred people are going to watch the recap of this at some point. So, if they make it to this point in the video, they'll get to see the comparison.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Is Alex Catoni? Oh no, that's worse.
That's oh my god. That's downright offensive.
That's just offensive. That's the most offensive that's been said on this entire show.
Yikes.
No, she's nice.
I'm sure she's fine.
I'm sorry. I meant that was offensive to Alex Catoni, not to this Alex.
Oh, okay. Someone asked me, by the way, guys, if we wanted to collab with them. I can't remember who it was. I had to look at my LinkedIn. It was actually one of the best cold emails I've ever got.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely. But I can't remember right now. It was the other day. It's too much.
Is that good?
It was really
so
good. I was
you
like,
don't remember who they are, where they're from.
His name was Alex. I know that. So that pays. Honestly, that's a genuine thing. If you want to get someone's attention, change your name legally to their name. And
hot marketing tips from Copy That.
It's true. If you got an email from Sean McIntyre, you'd be like, "Who the fuck is this?" So
yeah, that's true.
It's what the guy did to me, kind of.
That is a gray hat marketing tip right there.
That is super gray hat. The pitch is coming from inside the house.
That would be a great email opener.
I've legally changed my name to your name. Let's collab.
Oh man. All right. Okay. It's broken. Yeah.
This was a good stream, a good survey of the kinds of content marketing that people can get paid for, especially as they are looking to become paid copywriters. We are going to have more content about content in the coming weeks. So make sure to stay tuned and to subscribe to what is it? YouTube.com/copythat. If you want to get announcements about the big thing that Lindsay and I have been working on for, I think it's like 3 months at this point, we have over 5 hours of footage filmed. We have an entire book that we've written. We have a lot. And I think we're maybe a third of the way done with everything that we're trying to make for this. So if you want to get an update about that, sign up with your email and your name to copythatshow.com. You'll also be signed up to our free 21-day course. You are definitely, hopefully, going to benefit from all the free content that we're trying to throw in your general direction so that you think the very small amount of paid content that we have is worth it, which is kind of our marketing strategy. It might, dare I say, be our content marketing strategy.
Wow.
I like being more direct. Look, if you've got the money to spare right now, like if you've got $20 and it's not going to like affect you in any way, just go and sign up for Patreon. Just go and do it. Like, why not? Why wouldn't you? Or maybe you're too scared.
That was also a pitch. That was certainly a pitch.
Sick of giving value. I just want people to give me money. Why have I got to make stuff?
Why do I
If you're not a fucking coward,
if I don't see the Patreon count tick up after this video, I'm going to be really annoyed. But if you do it and you send me a DM and you show that you signed up today and you are new, I'm probably not going to do anything. But it'll be, I'll probably send it to these guys.
If you sign up for the Patreon today and then send us information that you have signed up for the Patreon today, we will send a thumbs up emoji back to you because that's how we'll feel.
Every time you say something like that, Alex, you need to do it with your American accent.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh my, that video went out as well, didn't it? Yeah, because Callum is super embarrassed about that. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. The amount of cringy shit that I have done now online. I can never run for prime minister.
Yes, you can.
I mean, absolutely.
If Boris Johnson can run for prime minister, you can run for prime minister.
R.I.P. He's not dead.
He might as well be.
British politics stream? Maybe when?
I'm down to do a politics stream at some point.
Oh God, yes.
I was in America. I was with you guys when Boris Johnson resigned.
Yeah.
It was spicy times.
Yeah. Also, we're in the kind of silly bit of the show now. I'm not going to say what it is. Rod, can you say the good news that you got the other day, or is that not something you can say yet?
I can say that. Why wouldn't I be able to say that? I'm trying to think.
Why say it? I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not a secret anymore. Yeah, so I got a job.
Woo! That was it.
I'm trying to think, how do I say this? So I guess for context for everyone in the audience, I have been like a freelance person for the longest time as a freelance copywriter doing copy stuff for various projects. But I recently got a job in-house at an advertising agency called Wyden and Kennedy, working on their Nike account. So I will be a not copywriter, but a strategist helping design campaigns for Nike stuff. I probably won't be able to say like what those things are specifically for like NDA reasons, but like that's generally what I will be doing.
Yeah, that's I want to emphasize how there's a dude on Copy That you are watching on YouTube who's going to be writing ads and strategy and campaigns for Nike. When was the last time you wrote an ad for Nike that actually got published? Never.
True potential. You would think free shoes, but you only get a discount. They don't give you free shoes. You just get a discount, which is like nice and appreciated. But like,
the co-hosts get a discount as well.
I'm going to bet $1 that you're going to get a swag bag at some point.
Yeah, you got to get something. Yeah. But it's I fucking super proud, just grateful and amazed, and just congrats, Rod. That's so I know you're a modest person and you play it down a bit, but like to get to land a role as a strategist at one of the like most famous advertisers on arguably, I would say probably a top 10 brand in the world, like in terms of recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah.
That's pretty insane. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Rod, I have watched your trajectory through, I think, pretty much the entirety of your copywriting career. And it has landed you in writing for Nike. Did you ever think that was going to happen to you?
I didn't. And it was funny, like through the interview process. I have played sports my entire life. I'm definitely one of those athletic people, but I'm not like a huge like sports follower. Definitely not like a Nike brand advocate type person. And so to have to talk about sports and shoes and stuff in that way was funny as shit. And there was lots of imposter syndrome, not because I was like, oh, I can't do the work, but like me being like, oh yeah, my favorite pair of shoes is, and then like suddenly remembering, oh yeah, my soccer cleats are Nikes. So I can say that, but like the strangest thing, like I could not have imagined being here 2 months ago. But I will say that while I will not guarantee that everyone who pursues copywriting will become someone who works for Nike, my trajectory has been entirely as a freelance person and just through networking and talking to people and doing work and not being a gigantic asshole. You do come across opportunities to do cool things like this show, and you meet cool people. And so even as you guys are out there are focusing on getting better, becoming better copywriters, learning about all this, the many, many, many things there are to learn, pay attention to the people around you, form relationships. You don't have to, actually pitch everyone, but just being like, hey, I'm a cool person. I like what you do. Let's keep in touch every once in a while. Like, you will kind of find opportunities naturally through doing that because people notice.
Networking, man. It's the secret.
I mean, yeah, Rod, I think I've known you since day one. Well, certainly since you joined the CC.
Literally day one.
Yeah, literally day one. So yeah. Now, and we still know each other, and it's so worth it.
Yeah, dude, I'm really proud of you, and I'm really happy for you. And also, you're, potentially going to be living close to where my brother lives, so I'm going to be seeing you a lot more in person.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
So you are moving like 3,000 miles further away from me.
It's true.
So I don't know what that says about our relationship, but
you guys did sleep together though that one time.
That is true. Oh yeah, no, we did sleep in the same bed.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about sex. Yeah, no, we had that too. That too.
We just both got canceled.
That was a New York. Yeah. Anyway, that was the night where I fell over as well. That's another cringy, embarrassing thing that happened. God damn it.
Just relax, man. It's not like you have like a personal brand that you're trying to maintain.
Yeah.
I mean, like me personally, like saying goofy stuff and doing goofy stuff online is not only is it kind of a personal brand for me, but also it fits with my personality in real life anyway. So it's not like there's a big difference between like how I am online or on stream versus who I am in person. So
same. Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, content. That's what we're talking about. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, just like us talking for 15 minutes.
Yeah, this is the content people want. They don't want information that can help them in their careers. They want us chatting about our lives.
Like 24 people. That's like a bus full of people. Just right now, just imagine like a bus full of people. We're just talking on a pavement, and about 20 people just come and stand and just listen. That's what's happening right now.
And occasionally shouting out things like this.
Yeah.
We're just having a conversation. Aaron!
Yeah.
Too good. Okay. Guys, I always enjoy these streams with you, and everybody watching, I enjoy these streams with you too. We could not do Copy That without our audience, and our audience is why we do Copy That. And so, and of course, our patrons help fund the show as well. It's a donation thing, but we try to give as much value back as we possibly can because we know what it's like to start out. And we hope that you grow from where you are here. We hope we can have like a maybe small to medium-sized impact on the trajectory that you have from here. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for listening to all this content about content, as well as content about, I'm pretty sure, nothing. Content that was, I guess, personal in nature. Though, I guess, Alex, we're going to have a serious conversation at some point about, like, how do you feel about putting out more cringy stuff online with you?
No, I love it. I try and build a persona up of, like, caring, because then it makes the shit funnier when stupid things happen. But actually, genuinely, I have completely detached from any sense of wanting to harness a professional reputation. I love being goofy and joking. It's far more fun.
It is way more fun, in my opinion.
Much more fun.
Authentic in it.
We did the April 1st thing where we said, okay, we're gonna take the product that we have sold the least of, and we're gonna kick that up to $10,000.
A little part of me thought just maybe we've got like a really rich person on our list who will do it just as a joke. But you couldn't even do that, audience. Nope. 10 grand. Nope.
No, nobody was willing to spend 10 grand on Copy That, except for Copy That, of course. So
yes,
there you go.
Yeah.
So I guess the only thing left to do is to discount that severely.
Well, now we can say like 98% discount, right?
Exactly. No, now what we can do is we can like have an email where we say, listen, for April Fools, we kick this up to $10,000. Because of people's emojis, It's a joke. Look it up on Discord. It's the whole thing that happened. Now it's only like, 9,700 something, dollars. But you don't have to pay that today. With this discount, you can get it for only this amount. And we can set that discount to be like around where we had it originally. And that we would be doing a copy. That would be a copy. You get the you don't have to pay $10,000 for this. We will have a discount.
Let's do it.
That would be so funny, just to have it always set that high and just be like, use offer code, whatever, to get $9,000 off.
Yeah, I'm down. I mean, but here's the thing. There are people that are going to not understand the joke, not understand that we're trying to do a meta marketing. And like, we're talking to marketers. We're talking to copywriters, people who know and understand what we're doing and why we do it that way and why we purposefully do it badly, because we're like magicians trying to do the cups and the balls with like clear plastic cups. Like, we're not interested in trying to like dupe you into paying for something that you don't need. We're trying to make cool shit that you want to buy. And so I worry that if we set that permanently at the $10,000 point and then discount it from there, there are people going to be like, oh, these people sold out. These scammers charging $10,000 for a thing. Oh, no. And we'll have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
That's probably the better attitude.
Let's just do what we want and screw it. We don't earn any money from this. Like, let's just do whatever we want and maybe we'll strike it rich.
Hey, that's what the Wait But Why blogger guy did, basically.
There you
go. A lot of people are talking about my dick in chat.
Once again.
Once again. It does happen a lot. How are there still 20 people? My God. You guys don't have lives? I'm just gonna be super mean from now on.
It's like the post-credit scene of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he's like, "You're still here? Go home. We're done. That was the movie. We're done. You can go."
You want to say more? This man says, "Wait, you earn £0 from Copy That? We earn nothing from Copy That right now."
Yep. We have been running the business since 2021, and we have taken no money out of the business. So all of the revenue that has gone into Copy That has stayed in Copy That. We have not paid ourselves from this business whatsoever. So
that's why we all have like mic arms and light things and new cameras, because that's where money has gone, if anywhere.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So basically, when you pay us, you are just paying to get a better viewing experience for yourself. So if you love yourself, you will buy things from us, because really it's like buying something for yourself. And you, honestly, you deserve it.
The man knows what he's talking about.
As you can afford, because you deserve to have better content. Our editors, everyone's been commenting lately, oh my God, the editing has gone up so much in quality. Oh my God. You know what? You bought that for yourself. Viewers like you.
You invested in yourself by investing in us.
But yeah, why not treat your spouse and join the Copy That Patreon? Why not give it as a wedding gift?
That's so stupid.
Child baptism. Because technically, you're gifting the world, not just us. Not even us.
We've definitely crossed that 2 or 3 hour threshold where I start to lose it at the stupidest freaking thing.
It's getting later. It used to be 2 hours.
Quinceañera gift. Copy that subscription.
Oh my goodness.
So coming up.
This is an interesting question. Have you thought about setting different levels of the Patreon? You may end up with more sales, lower cost ones. So we do have different levels of the Patreon. We have the you get nothing, but you get to give us money level. And we also have the you get everything if you give us money level. We had different tiers at one point. We had a standard tier, a premium tier, a VIP tier, and then like a mentorship tier. And what we were discovering was it was just so much work. And like we were producing so much content. And this is partly a pitch for the Patreon too. There's so much content on the Patreon that we were having a hard time organizing it into the different tiers and then explaining to everybody. So what's the difference between this tier and that tier? We tried to simplify it just to make the offer simpler for people, where it's now at this point, it's just simple. Pay $20, get most of the stuff. That's it. And so like, I can't come up with a simpler pitch than that. Pay $20, no bullshit, the end. And so we have thought about doing different tiers. Somebody has actually been pitching us on like a sort of a VIP, like skip the line, get your content critiqued on stream before anybody else, like to guarantee that we're going to critique that content. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we're constantly debating about this internally, like all of us, where it's like, how much should we charge to justify our time spent on it? Because copy that is not, as we've said, our main gig. This is not where we get income. This is not how we get paid. And so we do this mostly for fun, but it also needs to be self-sustaining. And in order for it to grow, it needs to grow. So there's that balance. But at the same time, we can't neglect our other shit to do this. And so what do we charge for guaranteed copy critiques from us on stream? I mean, do we charge $100 per month? Do we charge $300? Because that's what other people are charging. I mean, right now, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a critique, but it costs $20 a month. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And we're constantly deciding and trying to find like new ways to make our offers more enticing and more helpful to people, which is usually where the conversation starts as opposed to the money thing. Though, to be honest with you, we haven't really had many of those conversations because especially Lindsay and I have been so like, Alex was head down, focus on the Copy Career Accelerator. And like, if you need a resource for getting an actual job as a copywriter, that's what we made that for. It's real good. Lindsay and I have been head down, focused on making this basically how to write copy good, how to be more good at copy. That's the tentative name of this course. And it really is starting to shape up, and it's looking like at retail value, like no discounts or anything, looking like it might be our first $199 or $299 course. We haven't decided on a price yet, but really we're not even talking about the price. We are mostly talking about like, what more can we add to this to make it more valuable? What more can we add to this to make it better? That's one of the reasons why it's taking so long. So that's a little bit of behind the scenes information about Copy That. We're doing our best, and sometimes our best is not good enough. The end.
But if you want our best to be better,
Oh man.
If you want a better life when you sit down to watch copywriting related YouTube videos, if you want the fancy production and all the pizzazz,
I mean,
that's-
just think about it. So here's the reality currently. When we turn off the stream, this whole recording is just gonna live on YouTube, right? And so, like most dedicated Copy That fans, you will go back and you will watch this replay. Now, imagine an alternate reality where instead of that happening, this video gets sent to our editor who gets paid $5 million per video. And there are like jump cuts. There are like Michael Bay explosions. There are wacky, zany sound effects. You would love that reality so much more. But in order to create that reality, we need the money to give you the thing that you need. And so if you want that for you, you need to give it to us, is what I'm getting at.
I love this so much because you're using copy tactics well, but it's in such an obviously ham-handed manner that it can't not be a joke. Oh, it's so good. I love it. Anyway, I think it is time. What about body pillows? No.
God,
I've got one up there.
that's $1,000.
That's for another stream.
If
That's
you give us
for another
$1,000 a month, we will give you a body pillow.
Yeah, we will personally pay for your body pillow. That's, you know what, I would be willing to do that. Let's put up $1,000 per month tier. The only additional benefit is that we will think about buying them personally a body pillow.
I mean, we've got the anime like personas.
Yeah.
They're
And
just
the thing,
waiting
though,
to
is
go on a
that
body pillow.
you get one body pillow, or we will think about giving you one body pillow per month. And so you have to stay subscribed at least 4 months to have the opportunity for us to think about giving you one for all of us.
None of this is a good offer. This is all a terrible offer.
There's someone out there, though, I know, who would pay for this.
Here's my thing. I would be worried that everybody would just buy the body pillow of me, and then like my children are going to grow up in a world where there's a bunch of fucking perverts and creeps with body pillows of like me, you know.
Okay, we're marketers though. We can incentivize that. We can do a poll, do some audience research. Which body pillows are most in demand? And then we flip it and we send you the one you want least first. And so
clever.
if they want the Sean body pillow, first they're gonna have to get me. Then Alex, they'll be disappointed to get Alex. Then Lindsay, who would never sanction any of this, by the way.
She would never condone the body pillow.
And then Sean. You want
then we
finance that in your bed? You're gonna pay for the rest of us first.
How is this person going to be able to write any copy? They're just drowning in freaking body pillows.
So comfy at night though, and so protected.
Oh my god!
And so much more wise.
Oh my god! I do actually have content that I need to write and copy, and also I guess other stuff to do. So I suppose I'll see you gents when we do our next content sprint.
Let's do it.
I'm straight. I have a bed to go to.
Dude,
with a body pillow.
You look so tired. I'm so sorry that we kept you up so late.
No, I love this. It's only because I've started getting up earlier again, also to work out in the morning, which also sucks. Which also then have a whole like 12-hour day and then need to do this. So I'm very tired.
Yeah, I understand. I wake up around like 4 or 5 every single day and try to start my day with a workout. And so it's again like by the afternoon I'm just like, ugh. I don't want to be thinking anymore.
Yeah. And that you guys get us like primed the best to give you copywriting advice when we don't want to be thinking anymore.
When we are exhausted and completely drained.
Oh, there's a 4 a.m. Yeah, 4 body pillows that you wake up with.
If you can subscribe to patreon.com,
if you get on $1,000 here.
Oh my
Because
god.
you love yourself.
Hope you well, Fairlith. Yeah.
Yes. You know what? Listen, if somebody's willing to pay that much money, I am willing to let my visage be on a body pillow. You may do whatever weird, freaky stuff you freaks want to do with that body pillow. It's fine.
You know, we'll do it. We'll put it up, and none of them will get bought, and we'll feel horrible. That our self-esteem will plummet.
Oh God. See, I'm not worried about that. I would actually, my feelings about humanity would improve. I would be substantially less Malthusian if people didn't buy the body pillows. I'm worried about the fact that people will probably buy the body pillows.
I think we've been trying to kind of like, float around the edge of saying it, but Anthony just comes in and just no tact. No subtlety. Says what we're all thinking. Do you ever think you'd see those?
Thinking about that.
When you guys started this, did you ever think you'd see those 5 words next to each other? Copy that body pillow orgy.
I mean,
no.
It's arresting. Rod, I think that might be the subject line for the next email that you send to our list.
Copy
Yeah,
body
let's.
pillow orgy.
Copy that.
That's
body
gonna get
pillow
us
orgy.
flagged.
I'm actually Alex. Get in the frame. Taking some screenshots. There you go. That is a fantastic one. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, Anthony.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Anthony. real service to humanity there.
All right, but for real, let's go, guys.
Yeah, we've got to go. We've got to end
Take
the
care.
stream.
Go
Bye.
make that bag. Go make some money. Learn content. Watch our videos. We're going to have more information about it. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful life. I love you, but only I love you. Rod kind of likes you. And Alex is a well-wisher in that he doesn't wish you any immediate harm.
Hey, good reference.
Hey.
Go sign up to copy that Patreon. Seriously.
We don't know how to end a show at all, do we? Like whatsoever.
Now we're getting on to another conversation. Oh,
Okay,
no.
bye.
See ya.